the boy on his own, disrupt the confrontation between the two major forces. For this reason, Anjinji temporarily revised the selection rules. The Tinder company also listed him as a P4 hazard. At this moment, Anjin Temple held a meeting. Let's recap this battle. There was a masked transcendent being that day. I've been changing my phone to get paid for tasks. This led us to miscalculate the number of companions. But in hindsight, the white mask that spoiled the game. One man killed more than 20 members of the Tinder company, able to come and go in and out of the chaotic battlefield at will, and take someone else's prey. This kind of person's strength is too terrifying. But he's so invincible. Why are you still idle and have nothing to do to grab someone else's phone? I don't know what he's trying to do. After a night of turmoil, Ren Xiaosu found that the jurisdiction of Barrier 73 was becoming stricter. Suddenly, he noticed a figure. Isn't that Wang Tsongyang? I saw him enter the tunnel that day. So Ren Xiaosu asked Zhou Yingxue to use extraordinary abilities to track Wang Tsongyang's whereabouts. The moment Wang Tsongyang got up, Zhou Yingxue's bullets flew out. Branches and leaves were left on Wang Tsongyang's coat. Wang Tsongyang was also not aware of this. Zhou Yingxue also bought 2 fritters and packed them. When he got back to the car, Li Ran also happened to get into the car. He handed over an address, said that he would go here later. Zhou Yingxue is angry, and I am a bodyguard. It's not whether the driver is good or not. However, Wang Tsongyang didn't know when. They had already been noticed. At this time, Li Ran came to the director's office to audition. Ren Xiaosu was shocked into a cold sweat. Wasn't this the director outside the tunnel that day? He probably won't recognize me. The result is the next second. Director Mu directly ignored Li Ran's greetings. Rushed straight to Ren Xiaosu's benefactor. I didn't expect to see you again. When did the master know the director? How did Ren Xiaosu become a director's benefactor? Director Mu turned around. Dao, please go out first. I have something to say to this lad. Li Ran was very reluctant. Today's protagonist shouldn't be me. Then Ren Xiaosu raised his hand and said that you recognize the wrong person. The director is very sensible. I will definitely keep your affairs confidential. But I really want to ask you. Participate in my films. Suddenly, the director felt a hint of murder. You'd better keep it a secret. Otherwise, you know my methods. After speaking, Ren Xiaosu walked out. The director saw that finding Ren Xiaosu would not work. So he set his sights on Li Ran. If only these 2 transcendents around you. Promise to play 2 roles. I'll give you the position of the heroine. What about that? Made Li Ran suddenly feel like he had changed the sky. At this time, Zhou Yingxue kept pestering Master Ren Xiaosu. When did you save a director? Master, can you get her to be the heroine for me? Let that Li Yuan play a maid or something for me. Ren Xiaosu was annoyed by her. Immediately warned, if you don't shut up and look for Wang Tsongyang. After that, the 2 achievements were reduced to 1%. As soon as I heard about it, the remuneration should be reduced. Zhou Yingxue immediately shut her mouth. Suddenly, he sensed Wang Tsongyang's traces. So Ren Xiaosu immediately came to the rooftop, set up a sniper rifle. Zhou Yingxue was humming a song while munching melon seeds. Ren Xiaosu was speechless for a moment. Who works for whom? Stop eating melon seeds. Check the situation in the mirror. At this moment, Wang Tsongyang was reading the newspaper leisurely. It's 4 hours at a glance. There must be something wrong with this Wang Tsongyang. What good guy would sit in the park for 4 or 5 hours? Suddenly, Zhou Yingxue reminded the master. A couple of suspicious people came to the south of the park, and Wang Tsongyang also got up and left at the same moment. Ren Xiaosu could see at a glance that something was wrong. You can see it from the official mirror. The group is marking the location. After marking it, he left. Are they trying to dig up the place where the circle was drawn? It's just because it's hard to get hands on during the day right now. Ren Xiaosu felt that it was very possible. If you look at it this way, Wang Tsongyang should be the mastermind of this operation. Wang Tsongyang had troubled him several times before. Ren Xiaosu is also ready to grab his vote. I'll go clean up Wang Songyang first. After they are afraid to run away, let's dig up the lawn again. See what's really inside. As a result, they went down later. But he had a positive encounter with Wang Songyang. Wang Songyang did not hesitate when he saw this. Turn around and run. Ren Xiaosu didn't expect to be startled so soon. But now that he has noticed it, those who were in charge of digging before that should have left too. Ren Xiaosu said that it was a bit dangerous here. Let Zhou Xue go back to the hotel first. I didn't expect my grandfather to be usually fierce. At the critical moment, I was quite concerned about my safety. I'll get out with you, sir. Well, she didn't know something. Ren Xiaosu was just worried that she would hold her back. When it comes to evening action, Ren Xiaosu deliberately changed the shadow's clothes, in case you were recognized. As a result, when they arrived, it was discovered that this group of people had already started construction. How are these people still digging? Didn't Wang Songyang inform his accomplices to leave? Then he sent the shadow forward to tempt it. You are Wang Songyang. Where's your steam train? Ren Xiaosu didn't expect it. They took the shadow as Wang Songyang. So he just did the trick. When the steam train is summoned, this group of people also confirmed his identity. Wait for the information to be dug up. We'll break through the barrier with your steam train. Shadow immediately nodded in agreement. It didn't take long for my brother to dig out a secret passage. A man bursts a safe from inside. It turned out that they were the people of the Tinder. I'm afraid it's because of the blockade of the Zhou family. The Tinder company didn't make it well. The materials are shipped out. That's why I want to use Wang Chengyang's steam train. Let's go straight to the level. We can call you 1 million now. After shipping it out, I'll give you the remaining 1 million. The account is still the same as before. Shadow immediately raised his hand to interrupt. Then he picked up the branch. Ren Xiaosu's account number was written on the ground. I've heard for a long time that you're cautious. But I didn't expect to be so cautious. Wearing a mask. Even the voice doesn't want to be exposed. Ren Xiaosu hid behind a tree and snickered. This Wang Chengyang's identity. It seems to be quite easy to use in the Central Plains. Just when they finished the boxes, a blinding light struck. The man immediately asked, "You betrayed us." The shadow hurriedly waved his hand. I don't know what you're doing. It was Zhou's patrol force. It looks like it's just a daily round. You take 5 people and kill them. Create chaos. Attract attention. You 2 left with me on the steam train. Departure with the start of the train. Ren Xiaosu also took the opportunity to sneak on the train. Boys have the ability to replicate the skills of others. So throwing the pot has become his daily operation. The Tinder company mistakenly took Ren Xiaosu into office. Wang Chengyang also got into his thief car. But soon they realized something was wrong. The steam train ran for half a day. But there has been no barrier. When they questioned, the shadow directly showed the black knife, apparently intending to eat black from black. But there are 3 people on Tinder's side who are not worried. In the intelligence they knew, Wang Chengyang's superpower is just a steam train. But the moment the shadow rushed up, a Tinder member was invited to behead on the spot. They panicked. How could there be such a sharp knife? But the shadow did not answer them. Instead, the attack continues. After dealing with all this, Ren Xiaosu also jumped into the train. He instructed Shadow to put the materials into the storage space, then leave before the Zhou troops arrived. Then, Ren Xiaosu began to think about how to throw the pot to Wang Chengyang. At this time, the Tinder company was inside the safe house. The Tinder personnel received the message. Steam trains have no barriers at all. The commander asked. The transcendent person in charge of escorting is called Wang Chengyang, right? It is Wang Chengyang. His ability is to summon steam trains. We've all seen it with our own eyes. The commander was silent for a moment, immediately ordered Wang Chengyang to be arrested. At the same time, the collection account of the 1 million deposit was traced. Meanwhile, Wang Chengyang has been bumping into Ren Xiaosu since he met. Escaped directly from Barrier 73. Suddenly, he sensed something was wrong. It was as if something was about to emerge from the hand. The result is the next second. Lao Su's same black pot actually appeared in his hands. I heard that Su Xianchu also has this wave. It's not just powerful. It can also be bulletproof to shoot people. But I suddenly had a black cauldron. Wang Songyang suddenly broke out in a cold sweat. There must be something greasy in this. At this time, the person in charge of Anjin Temple suddenly found out. There is an extra remittance of 1 million in the account. At first glance, the remitter turned out to be a Tinder. Such a strange situation has come. He was about to tell his boss right away. And Tinder also investigated the whereabouts of the account. It turned out to be the account of Anjin Temple. The commander was skeptical. It is possible that Wang Songyang is a person from Anjin Temple. He instantly felt that his IQ had been insulted. I'm afraid Ren Xiaosu didn't expect it himself. I threw 2 pots at one time. At this time, Zhou also cordoned off the park. Transcendents were also brought in to try to solve the case. I saw smoke released from the man's hand. And what happened before? It was revealed in the smoke. Then he began to rewind time. Until the earliest. The content of the characters in the picture. He translated it all in lip language. Then, a figure caught their attention in the haze. Over time, Ren Xiaosu's figure. It's getting clearer. But there was a fog on his face. I can't see it clearly. Even the transcendent couldn't help but wonder. This has never happened before. Why is this man so special? They guessed. This vague figure may be the key figure. So the transcendent ones continued to exert their work. Try to be able to see the face more clearly. However, at the moment when Ren Xiaosu raised his head in the fog, a terrifying murderous aura suddenly emerged from the eyes of the star pupils. The transcendent was amazed at the same time. A mouthful of blood spurted out. Obviously, it has suffered a lot of backlash. Zhou's people looked shocked. In the past, Mr. Li helped to handle the case. But this time it didn't just fail. It was even counterattacked. They couldn't figure it out. Who is the sanctity of the people in this house? Meanwhile, Ren Xiaosu also returned to the hotel. But as soon as he entered the door, he felt the feeling of being watched. Soon, though, that feeling is gone. Then, Ren Xiaosu was under Zhou Yingshue's surprised gaze. The lab materials were retrieved. Zhou Yingshue said excitedly, "Sir, let's sell this information. Wouldn't it be a lifetime of worry-free food and clothing?" But Ren Xiaosu was not so optimistic. Just sell it. It is bound to be targeted by many people. I'm afraid that the Tinder company will be hunted to the ends of the earth. Ren Xiaosu only has 2 choices at the moment. Either sell to 178 drug stoppers. Either that's Kyungsher. After all, you can only rest assured if you sell it to themselves. After Ren Xiaosu, I looked through the information of the Tinder company before the catastrophe. It turned out to be a research anti-cancer targeted drug. The purpose of research is to cure the disease and save lives. There is nothing anti-human in the slightest. That's when it happened. Li Rant's angry knock sounded outside the door. It gave Ren Xiaosu a headache. How can this Li Rant's ghost not go away? It turned out to be because of Ren Xiaosu's relationship. Zhou Yingshue promised Director Mu that she could take her. Go in so that the director will arrange a heroine for her. Let Li Ran play her supporting role. Ren Xiaosu was furious when he learned about it. Scolded Zhou Yingshue. She then got up and headed for Barrier 74. I'm going to sell a batch of phones first. By the way, do the task. However, she was in too much of a hurry. I forgot to ask number 74 how he left. That's when it happened. A car suddenly stopped beside Ren Xiaosu. Where's this going, young man? What a person. After learning that Ren Xiaosu was going to go to the 74 barrier, the man offered to give him a ride. After Ren Xiaosu got in the car, asked them what they are doing at the 74 barrier. The man explained. They didn't go into barrier 74. Just go around and pick up medicine. Give the apprentice some medicine to the body. But Ren Xiaosu was a little vigilant. Suddenly the vehicle steers. Turned into a path. Ren Xiaosu also sensed the deviation of the route. With the vehicle braked, the man whistled. Suddenly someone emerged from the grass. Yuan Xiaosu thought he was surrounded. What turned out was a group of displaced people. It turned out that the man deliberately took a detour, just to send some antibiotic drugs to the homeless and the exiles in order to repay. They also gave the Kuan eggs they had prepared to the men. Before leaving, the man asked them what supplies they needed. Lu Ming said that winter is coming soon. I hope to buy 12 cotton clothes for children who are not frost-resistant. It's just that they don't know how much cotton clothes cost in the market town. Also prepare some savings. As a result, the man refused, saying that these wild kundan were very valuable. Enough after leaving. Ren Xiaosu couldn't help but say, "At most, these wild kundan will change into a cotton coat. Are you doing this purely for good?" The man explained. "They have a rule. After adulthood, I need to go to the market town to see what kind of life Lu Ming is living. He couldn't live at the beginning. As a result, when they arrived in the market town, they couldn't even eat. Fortunately, the homeless people gave him a bite to eat. Now he's a little capable. Naturally, I have to help them more." Ren Xiaosu listened. "I can't help but be a little curious about the identity of the man." At this time, the man said, "Are you a name?" Ren Xiaosu did not deny it. "But men have their own judgments. The barrier man doesn't have a look like you." Then they stopped in a clearing. "I'm going to make a fire and fix it." Ren Xiaosu asked, "Do you often be in the wild?" "Yes, I have been to many places with my teacher. Read 10,000 books. Thousands of miles. Generally, it only takes 10 minutes to boil the eggs with the shell. But it takes 15 minutes. But Kuan's fragrance is far greater than that of Gakken in the barrier." At this time, the man came with a rabbit in his hand. "Let me say that the walls should be torn down. Let the barrier people get out of their comfort zone. In this way, human beings can adapt more to the world." Ren Xiaosu said that the barrier people were not comfortable. These words instantly stunned the man. That's when it happened. In the distance, Li Ran's vehicle came from a distance. Ren Xiaosu suddenly panicked. "That my body is not the first step. Thank you both for giving me a ride." Then he left in a hurry. "Teacher, what do you think he is?" "He has a reserved temperament. Not ordinary homeless. It could be transcendent." The man speculated that the convoy might have come after him. At this time, Li Ran rolled down the window. "Ask if you have seen it." A teenager passed by. The boy recognized Li Ran as a big star at a glance. But they were even more surprised. Who the hell was that boy? Let Li Ran chase out of the barrier. But the man didn't tell the truth. Said that he didn't understand it. Li Ran guessed that Ren Xiaosu definitely didn't go far. So he immediately increased his horsepower and chased after him. After that, the boy asked the teacher, "Is it appropriate for you to lie to them?" The man said, "I teach you to be upright." But he never told you not to lie to people. These two things are not contradictory. Wait until you find that cliff in the mountains. That's what you're the most like. The ladder challenge. When the time comes, climb with bare hands. If you survive, you'll be a knight. The boy forced a smile, put on a childish face, trying to convince the patrolling soldiers. He's just a miner. But the soldier was clearly not so easy to fool. The result of reluctance to show an identity card. It was captured and temporarily conscripted as a coolie. At this time, the number of troops gathered at Barrier 74 was almost more than 10,000. Ren Xiaosu has no matter how big he is. I don't want to win the city's most wanted either. At this time on the road, a familiar sedan. The horn rang at an inopportune time. Li Ran sat in the car, beckoned to Ren Xiaosu gloating. "I didn't expect you to have this day too." However, Ren Xiaosu is the most unsightly. It's someone who is screaming in front of him. He pointed to Li Ran's tour convoy and reported to the soldiers. "I saw it from the car window. There were quite a few adult males in that convoy." The soldier heard this. Immediately pull out the walkie-talkie. Ordered his men to verify the identity of the men in the convoy. Results 10 minutes later. Assistant Li Ran and others were arrested one after another to work as coolies. The assistant looked aggrieved. It's obviously Li Ran laughing. "I'm messing with someone." They were then assigned by the soldiers to carry the bricks. and the soldiers were busy transporting supplies and weapons. 74 The west gate of the rampart has been blocked, judging by the material that has never dried. It should have been sealed for the past 2 days. The defense work of the prefecture and city was extremely tight. Not even the sewers were spared. Although this information, it was not enough for Ren Xiaosu to speculate what was going on. However, it can make Zhou's preparations with such fanfare. If nothing else, something big is about to happen. Ren Xiaosu decided immediately. I'm going to run away with everyone tonight. At this time, a ridge to the west of Barrier 74. 2 figures walked through the mountains and forests. Eventually, they stopped in front of a steep mountain wall. The sound of the piano is the final assessment location. Climb this 600 meters. The cliff assessment. Even if it passes, you'll be a true knight then. Break through these 600 meters. You can completely open the shackles of your body. There was a rider who climbed more than 900 meters. His brilliance is beyond your reach. But you've already passed the first 7 exams. This last item, I'm sure you can. The man looked up at the cliff. Looks lonely. Years to come, there may not be any new knights. Because of the extremely dangerous assessment content, the various consortia are gradually restricting risk aversion. There are no assessment conditions. Selecting knights is even tougher. Back then, I thought the same as you do now. Do you think this is really a cliff that humans can climb? But it turns out, I did it. Go for the piano. Go and complete the last challenge. Be the last knight. Before climbing, the teacher's voice sounded behind the piano. Do you remember what I said to you? Remember, only faith in the sun and the moon remain eternal. At this moment, Qin Sheng looked at the eyes of the towering cliff, gradually becoming more determined. Climb a cliff without any protective gear. This is undoubtedly a double test of the body as well as the spirit. During rock climbing, the sound of the piano saw the words on the stone wall. That's the climb here. The name left by the person who finally chose to give up. The sound of the piano has only been slightly adjusted. He continued to climb up, and he still has 500 meters to climb. Over time, the sound of the piano finally exhausted the last trace of physical strength to reach the top. Congratulations on becoming the last knight. You qualify for the top of this cliff. Engrave your name. At this time, the sound of the piano was attracted by one of the words. It's the Eternal Boy. Actually, they don't know. The knight who carved this sentence. In the end, whether or not he died on the sidelines. But if you count him, it should be 33 knights. Suddenly they looked back. A test subject actually appeared here. Their faces were full of surprise. How about the test subject? Suddenly come here from the southwest. And this test subject looked special. His eyes seemed to contain the same emotions as humans. Just as they were about to leave. When preparing to inform Zhou to take precautions, patches of test subjects appeared at the foot of the mountain. In the face of such a large number of test subjects, they could only pray that there were enough defenders of Barrier 74. At night, they rushed to the 74 barriers. The situation was reported. But then a soldier reported. Barrier number 73 rushed to support the operation. Encountered an ambush by the test subject. More than half of the casualties were killed. When the chief heard this, he couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. Looks like they can't wait for reinforcements to arrive. Barrier 73 is in the east. So ambush the troops. It's not the test subject we met in the West Mountain, but they attacked the ramparts one by one. I'm afraid the number is more than 10,000. Meanwhile, Ren Xiaosu was leading a team of people to prepare to escape. Suddenly, he turned to ask his assistant, "Do you have anything of value on you? We scraped together $30,000 in cash. There are also 5 watches." Then Ren Xiaosu snatched it over. "With this money, it should be stable to go out." I saw that the chief took the money and opened the door and let him go. The assistant didn't expect it. They came out so easily. Ren Xiaosu asked him to hurry back to the hotel where Li Ran lived. When Ren Xiaosu and the others rushed back, Li Ran did look disgusted. "Let's go take a shower." One by one it stinks. Ren Xiaosu's expression was serious and didn't bother. Something big is going to happen to the barriers. If you want to live, pack your things and go with us. Then, he instructed Zhou Xue to use her ability to dig the tunnel. And Li Ran's subordinates hesitated at the moment. They thought that even if the Qing clan called, nor will it do anything to the residents. Besides, the Qing clan will not do anything to their royal officers. But Ren Xiaosu understood. The Qing clan had no reason to attack the Zhou clan's ramparts. He guessed that the person who came might not be Qing at all. That's when it happened. In the ramparts of the night, a screeching alarm sounds. All residents of the barrier are not allowed to go out and move without permission. In case of unknown creatures, please contact the Zhou troops as soon as possible. Ren Xiaosu's face was gloomy, and it looked like we didn't have to go. The test subject is here. I'm afraid we won't be able to leave. Zombie test subjects have intelligence. In order to launch a charge against the ramparts, they went so far as to blend the captured homeless people into the ranks. This made the prefect on the city wall. For a while, I didn't know whether to shoot or not to shoot. But in the face of war, reality is always cruel. No one will be displaced by the lives of a part of them and sacrificed behind a city. But what they don't know is, this is just one of the subject's plans. When the shrill sirens rang out in the night sky of the 74 barriers, Ren Xiaosu knew that they couldn't escape. Zhou Xue hurriedly grabbed Li Ran's arm. My mission is only to protect you. If you want to live, leave everyone else alone. At this time, someone raised a voice of doubt. Please come just for the sake of face. We're here. No one can hurt him. Zhou Xue was directly angry. You even had your guns taken away by the Zhou family. What'd it take to protect Li Ran? Li Ran had never encountered such a thing. Looks a little panicked. He hurriedly held Zhou Xue. I can add money. You can't protect us all. At this time, Zhou Xue turned around and asked Ren Xiaosu's opinion. Judging from this detail, Ren Xiaosu is definitely not just an assistant. But Ren Xiaosu began to make trouble at this moment. If the subject does call, everyone in the barrier is dead. Isn't it looking for death when so many people get together? That's when it happened. Director Mu actually came to the door, willing to spend a lot of money to ask for protection. In fact, the test subject was invading. Not every corner is left untouched. Zhou Xue can use the ability. Carve a shelter underground. Xue still has a chance to live. But soon she sighed. If things really go as smoothly as they imagined, that's it, go on. He handed a pistol to Zhou Xue. Let him lead everyone to hide it. Go out and see for yourself. Be back soon. Looked at Ren Xiaosu and planned to leave. Li Ran was surprised until you left. Who will protect? You should be back. Ren Xiaosu looked very helpless. I'll be back for sure. He's still here, after all. Everyone brushed their eyes on Zhou Xue. Then Ren Xiaosu walked out of the hotel alone. He was going to go to Simon first, because it is there that the largest number of troops are gathered. It is very likely that this is where the subject attacked. At this moment, a series of figures passed overhead. Ren Xiaosu was puzzled. The people of the Tinder Company are also rushing to the West Gate. As a result, he investigated it. This group of people from the Tinder Company, it turned out to be to help protect the inhabitants of the barrier. Ren Xiaosu never thought of it. Tinder people do such things. It was an eye-opener for him. At this time, the residents of the barrier were fleeing in a panic. The subject outside the door is approaching. The prefect of the city walls also gave the order to open fire at this moment. With the suppression of a platoon of machine gun fire, many of the subjects were killed on the spot before they could get close. However, the subjects appear to be sapient. They no longer blindly charged to death. Instead, he crouched in a safe place and waited for an order. With a roar rang out. Soldiers on the city walls. They all showed incredulous expressions. The test subjects brought hostages, surrounded them in a line, and kept driving them. And this scene is beyond everyone's understanding. According to common sense, subjects are to be killed on sight. But now they have learned to capture humans. The chief is in a dilemma at the moment. To shoot or not to shoot. If you don't shoot, subjects are bound to storm the ramparts. But if you shoot, there is no chance that the displaced people will survive. In the end, the commander could only grit his teeth and order to fire. War is brutal. In order to be able to protect more people, he could only choose to sacrifice a small number of people. At this moment, many displaced people fell in the flames of war. There are even babies in swaddling clothes. At this point, the subject began to retreat. The commander immediately ordered fire in pursuit. They must not be allowed to escape. A soldier reported in a hurry. The south gate of the fortress was attacked by the enemy. That's when the chief realized. The test subject here is Yang Gong. Seniors, please, be sure to hold the south side. Subjects are not to be allowed to climb the walls. The knights and the people of the Tinder listened to it. Hurriedly set off to hurry. Ren Xiaosu watched from afar. A blank face. But soon he decided to follow them. After all, the people in Tinder are all standing up at this time. If he hides and watches, isn't it as good as them? Meanwhile, the test subjects at the south gate of the rampart had climbed the city walls. Fortunately, the knights and the people from the Tinder company arrived in time. They jumped off the walls, killed the subject outside the barrier, and loudly and the sound of the piano. A single punch can knock out a test subject. This strength. Let Ren Xiaosu, who has a relationship with them. They were all shocked. No wonder they dare to wander the wilderness. Then Ren Xiaosu lowered his head and smiled. It seems that I don't have to make a move this time. There were two of them there. The subject will not be able to climb the city wall for a while. But at this moment, a piercing siren sounded behind Ren Xiaosu. At this time, the residents of the southwest kept fleeing. It seems that there is a barrier for the test subject to advance. Suddenly, Ren Xiaosu seemed to see something. The heart fluttered. It turns out that the test subject's offensive ramparts are all illusions. The real purpose is to fight for the test subjects who have infiltrated the barriers. Cover Ren Xiaosu couldn't believe it. The subject's intelligence has reached such a point. He even began to worry. The day the subject took possession of a human weapon. I saw a shadow coming out of Ren Xiaosu's body. It's our turn. The shadow receives the command. Gear up immediately. Jumping off the roof. At the moment, the streets are in chaos. Many people lost their lives in the experiment. Kick the shadow and run up against the flow of people. Subject treated him as food to his mouth. Single-handedly pounced. As a result, a large hand shone directly on his face. Then slammed into the ground. Meanwhile, the shadow has been surrounded by several test subjects. The boy is able to condense a body. All qualities are equal to twice the shadow of oneself. Subject of the invasion barrier. Only one photo was easily solved by him. However, the next second, the subject surrounded him. At this point, the subjects actually started to communicate with each other. We dragged him down. Let the buddies in the burrow come out first. As a result, the shadow jumped slightly and escaped from the encirclement. Ensued with the subject. When the black knife appears in the hand, all subjects in the vicinity were severed. However, the shadow's goal is to intercept the cavern. The test subjects that are just emerging, I haven't noticed what's going on yet, was cut off in the head with a knife. And the test subjects who didn't emerge. But he still didn't give up. I want to go up and have a look. As a result, he was stabbed through the head in the next second. And the black shadow shows great strength. This made many test subjects start to be afraid. Laoli dealt with the test subject at the same time. Shadows were also perceived. They didn't know what the man was doing, but just look at each other's backs. But you can feel the invincible courage. At this time, there was an extra reflection on one rooftop. It was Ren Xiaosu observing the test subject with a sniper scope. I can't beat the shadow. Then they began to retreat quickly. They had wanted to escape through the underground passages. But I never thought that the manhole cover couldn't be opened. This also made the black shadow rush in. Terminated the subject with a single sword. Seeing this, The subject had no choice but to flee for his life. Ren Xiaosu was very relieved. Fortunately, Zhou's troops welded the manhole cover in advance. Otherwise, let them get into the sewers and run away. Even the shadows can't catch up. However, the subject took advantage of the fact that the shadow could not pull away. The manhole cover was smashed with stones. Many of the subjects then jumped into the well to escape for their lives. But on their way away, suddenly a shadow portal appeared in front of him, with the appearance of several grenades. A violent explosion was heard in the sewers. At this time, Zhou's troops finally rushed over. The shadow took the opportunity to leave the scene. Unexpectedly, his departure was secretly photographed by a reporter. After a night of fighting, Laoli was accidentally scratched by the test subject. He feared that he would be infected and become a test subject. However, the officer said, "The information shared by the Qing clan is written above. Only by being injected with some kind of drug by them will become an experimental subject." This time the subject attacked the 74th barrier. It was also Qing's advance notice. Otherwise, it may be difficult to keep the barrier this time. In order to prevent the subject from attacking again, the officer convened a meeting of the core cadres. "First of all, thank you for your support. Without you, these 74 barriers would not have been able to be defended. But our intelligence officers are patrolling the ramparts." This photo was taken. Who is this man in the white mask? At this time, the people of the Tinder Company recognized it at a glance. This man is on the other side of East Lake. Killed quite a few of us. I suggest you find this man first. We at Tinder can put aside hatred for a while. And his common enemy. The officer was quite helpless. It's not that we don't want to look. I'm afraid it's really hard to find. Laoli said this firmly. Rest assured, since he has stepped up this time, I will definitely stand up next time. Meanwhile, Ren Xiaosu also returned to the hotel. At this time, someone questioned and went outside to fight all night. At this time, the sound of selling newspapers sounded outside. Ren Xiaosu hurriedly ran out and asked for clothes. However, he does not know if he does not look. I was shocked when I saw it. I saw the headlines of the newspapers. Footage of the shadow chasing the test subject is posted. Zhou Yingxue pointed to the newspaper without thinking. It's you. Ren Xiaosu suddenly became anxious. Can you tell from my body that this person is me? Zhou Yingxue shook her head and said, I just think. The entire barrier is the only one you can run after the test subject. Ren Xiaosu was speechless for a moment. That's fine. That's when it happened. There was a commotion outside. It turned out that Barrier 74 was locked down for several days. The grain and oil store was also emptied by Zhou's troops. As a result, many residents are now unable to eat. In order not to be affected, Ren Xiaosu hurriedly closed the hotel door tightly. When we bribed the Fourth Army before, I bought some military rations on the way. You should be able to eat it for a while. Just don't go to the hotel kitchen when it's time to cook. Keep the doors shut. Don't let the smell out. At this time, Zhou Yingxue was uneasy, and the old man. You gave them all the rations. What if they don't give us food then? Ren Xiaosu said, how could I be hungry with me? 2 days later, Ong Li and others were nibbling on unpalatable dry food in the hotel. Suddenly, a smell of meat wafted over. Lian immediately looked for the taste and went to Ren Xiaosu. Hurry up and open the door for me. Are you eating meat behind my back? Ren Xiaosu took the dry food with an aggrieved face. You are in charge of all the food. Where are we going to eat meat? However, Ren Xiaosu's mouth was full of oil. Go on. I'm afraid you're not hallucinating from hunger. With that, he closed the door tightly. Then he and Zhou Yingxue began to show off their chicken legs like crazy. Meanwhile, a group of soldiers was on their way to Barrier 74. As a result, a group of test subjects suddenly appeared on the mountain. The commander immediately ordered to enter battle mode. With the launch of white phosphorus bombs, many of the test subjects were killed. Fortunately, they did an analysis and evaluation in advance. Normal bullets cannot penetrate the subject. That's like white phosphorus burning. As more and more test subjects appear, the battle has also become more and more intense. However, what the chief didn't expect was this. A new batch of test subjects. I actually learned to walk upright. At this point, one of the test subjects was in flames. One pounced under the armored car. And then on your own. An armored car was overturned. But that's not even more terrifying. What's even more terrifying? One of the test subjects jumped into the car with a bundle of explosives. With a loud bang, another armored unit was completely wiped out. Seeing this, the commander immediately ordered the evacuation. Who would have thought? The test subjects began to use thermal weapons. Obviously, I have a heart. Somebody has to go. Look at what the hell this subject is up to. Besides, I have no children and no daughters. There is no concern. The only apprentice also came out. That's what I'm supposed to do. And from the point of view of common sense, subject can't write. It's hard to say that there is some manipulator behind them. If only I could find a chance to get rid of him. Hopefully, the test subject's crisis will be resolved. Wait for my good news. It's night. Laoli went to the appointment alone. One of the subjects was in a money bag. But not long after, Laoli saw an incredible scene. One of the test subjects was actually eating barbecue. This obviously subverted Laoli's cognition. According to common sense, subject does not eat cooked food. However, as he slowly approached, the subject was speechless. On Barrier Hill number 74. I've seen you. There was a teenager next to you at the time. Why didn't you come along? At this time, Laoli was already so shocked that he couldn't speak. At this point, the subject explained that there was no need to be too surprised. We used to be human beings too. We became this way to heal the sick. It's just that I'm lucky. Have a little bit of sanity. This skewer of barbecue is for you to eat. I used to like to eat grilled meat as well, but now prefer flesh and blood. Then he threw a skewer of roast meat out. Just stand there. Don't try to calculate me. Laoli took the barbecue and said puzzled. Of course it's not good. The meat must be cooked before it tastes good. I saw that the test subject had a serious face. That's exactly what I'm here for. You guys help me find someone. If found. So I went back into the forest. Never come back. At this time, the sound of the piano was worried on the city wall. There has been no news from the teacher for so long. I guess nothing will happen. Suddenly, someone shouted loudly. It's back. I saw Laoli's figure walking out of the woods. The news he received tonight was too shocking. The test subject. It is a terminally ill patient who is a cataclysmic latent and invites the Tinder company to treat his illness. But they don't know. This treatment is risky. The experiment failed. They become cancer cell carriers. As long as the cancer cells are immortal, they will not die. The man the knight has been looking for. Also in the laboratory of Tinder. Unique information. It is. The words left by the founder of the knight before he died. His son Ren Xiaosu must still be alive. After the chief saw Laoli, quickly asked what the subject wanted. How do you communicate? So Laoli told all the things tonight. In short, they want it now. We look for one. The man who escaped from that lab. Say it's the secrets of the other person that heal them. Turn them back to normal. And the one who escaped. On the surface, it looks no different from a normal person. But each of his nuclei is a xenomorphic nucleus. Internally, Tinder calls him a more powerful new human. That's what is known so far. If the subject is not found after 7 days, we'll slaughter the city. This is the man of the Tinder who spoke. In the lab data we found earlier, there should be relevant information, but those materials were snatched away by Wang Chongyang. If we find him, perhaps the crisis can be resolved. Meanwhile, Ren Xiaosu was reading the newspaper at the hotel. I accidentally saw Lab 039. The lab was mentioned in the materials he looted. Said to be Lab 039. Patients who have had a perfect cure for cancer. It's just that the treatment condition is special. It's hard to replicate. Ren Xiaosu suddenly understood. Those test subjects. I'm afraid it's just a guinea pig that has failed to replicate treatments. Suddenly, Ren Xiaosu thought of something. Judging by time and location, $6 seems. It fits the character perfectly. Due to Barrier 74, support has not been able to pass. Many people were so hungry that they could only gnaw on the bark of the trees. Although the porridge is also symbolic of cooling relief. Can be in a big pot of porridge, but it doesn't have even 10 grains of rice. It's hard time in the walls now. At this time, Laoli was also worried. I don't know how long Barrier 74 will last. I didn't understand before. Why Knight Founder will send his son to the Tinder lab. Now let's take a look at it in the light of the subject. I think his son must be terminally ill. Only by sending it in is hopeful. The Knight Founder said that his son must still be alive. Doesn't that mean his son's illness was cured? So the person the subject is looking for. It's the same person we're looking for. But in addition to knowing that his name is Ren Xiaobai. Beautiful. There is no further information. Laoli looked up to the sky and sighed. Ren Xiaobai. Where the hell are you? It's also too hard to find. At this time, Ren Xiaosu was wandering the streets. He didn't understand. Why would the subject ask for it? Subject 001 was found within 7 days. Suddenly, he reacted. I'm afraid this negotiation is just a front. That's when it happened. A violent explosion rang out from the ramparts. The man turned his head sharply to look at it. I saw that a hole had been blown out of the city wall. Countless test subjects have broken through the ramparts. Laoli reacted at this time. Search for Subject 001. Instruct them to stall for time. In order to make the humans in the fortress take it lightly. We are now evacuating. Barrier 74 is no longer in place. All we can do is preserve our strength. Get some people out. Now the only barrier is the East Gate. It's not sealed yet. You take the refugees over there. I'm going to stop the subject. I wish I could have held on a little longer. At this time, the chief also found them in prison. Take the inhabitants and flee to the east. Zhou's barriers. We Zhou come by ourselves. You don't have to die with us. Suddenly, a violent fire burst into the sky. The sound of the piano was surprised. Is this the bomb dropped by your Zhou family? But the chief said no. It turns out that all this is Ren Xiaosu's masterpiece. Even he didn't expect it. The power of 4 sevens is so great. Then he hurried into the hotel and shouted to go. If you don't leave, it's too late. The subject has already come in. If you don't want to die, hurry up and keep up. At this time, countless test subjects in the barrier were running rampant. Many elderly residents are exhausted. There is no way to escape. We can't walk anymore. Don't let us drag down your wife and children. We've lived most of our lives. There are no more regrets. Let's go besides. There are also desperate cries of mothers with babies alone. Take my child away. He's smart. Not picky eaters are good to feed. Ren Xiaosu gritted his teeth when he saw this scene. Zhou Yingxue had already burst into tears. But they can't control anyone else at the moment. To the north is the hinterland of the Central Plains. Even if there were reinforcements, they would have come from the north. So we went north. However, the north gate has long been blocked. Ren Xiaosu took out 4 SIXs. It was decided to blow it up with a bomb. But the people who don't know why. I thought he had a bad brain. I saw Ren Xiaosu sticking 4 SIXs on the stone wall. Then a violent explosion sounded. The city wall was suddenly blown out. Everyone was dumbfounded. It's a bomb. At this time, Ren Xiaosu greeted and said goodbye, stunned. Come with me. Wherever the boy goes. Where there will be destruction, people are nicknamed barrier destroyers. Just as the test subject carries a thermal weapon, during a raid on Barrier 74, Ren Xiaosu hurriedly led everyone to escape. And yet at this moment, a nuclear bomb is impartial. It happened to fall in the middle of Barrier 74. The subject had no time to escape. A violent explosion destroyed the entire wall. As the mushroom cloud rises, residents who had fled far away were also swept away by this wave of air. Ren Xiaosu watched from afar, a serious face. At this time, Lao Li's voice came from his ears. It is a nuclear bomb that even the gods are afraid of as a human weapon. Ren Xiaosu was suddenly shocked in his heart. He remembered that Yang Xiaojin once said, "This is a weapon that is difficult for humans to grasp." At this time, Qingyi, the command battalion of the Qing clan's ramparts, excitedly handed over the report. Nuclear bombs hit targets accurately. Subjects should have all been killed. Dude, you're right. Children are afraid of test subjects. Now we don't have any troubles. However, Qingji turned his head and said solemnly, "Auntie, today is not a day to be happy about. Prepare for war." Qingyi looked puzzled. "We have such weapons. Who dares to come and hit us?" Qingzhen said earnestly, "That's because we have such weapons." On the wilderness at this time, Lao Li and his apprentice piano sound. Food is being distributed to residents who have escaped. Suddenly, several good-looking men approached. "Where did you get the food? Why don't we?" In the face of constant threats from men, Lao Li and Qin Sheng glanced at each other, mind to heart. Then he slammed a few punches and taught the man a hard lesson. There are hands and feet. If you want to eat it, you can get it yourself. Ren Xiaosu was lying on the side watching the play. He thought these two were good old people. There is also a fear that they will lose. As a result, I think too much. At this time, someone poked Ren Xiaosu. I saw Li Ran's face full of worry and fear. "Can you protect me?" Zhou Inxue saw Li Ran pretending to be pitiful. Suddenly I got angry. My lord doesn't have that obligation. Besides, he has someone he likes. Please be surprised in Li Ran's heart. How powerful Ren Xiaosu is. To find a transcendent person to be a maid. Ren Xiaosu didn't have time to deal with them at the moment. The outside world is getting more and more chaotic. He was worried about the safety of the little sister of 6 Yuan. Meanwhile, a truck is slowly pulling into Barrier 144. Originally, Lao Wang bought a batch of good goods from the Central Plains that were not available in the Northwest. The 178 fortress should open up the lifeline of communication with the Central Plains. These 144 barriers are the closest barriers to the Central Plains. Half a year later, over here, it will become the largest cargo distribution center in the entire Northwest. Lao Wang came over this time. It's just to get on good terms with the people of Fortress 178 in advance. Get a head start. Uncle Wang, we think very well. But people 178 fortresses. Can you agree with us selling things like this? Lao Wang pushed his glasses, full of confidence. I know they're commanders. No problem. Then the king began to talk to the soldiers at the barrier. I am your friend of Commander Zhang. I want to catch up with Commander Zhang. Lao Wang confidently thought. The soldier would be respectful when he heard his words. As a result, Zhang Xiaoman didn't take it seriously. Even if you don't know Commander Zhang, you can do business. Just pay your taxes well. Lao Wang was deflated. I was in a hurry. Zhang Xiaoman explained. A few days ago, there was someone who pretended to know Commander Zhang. Lao Wang was speechless and choked after hearing this. Although you can do business without a set, but there are people and no one in business. There is still a big difference. At this time, Sister Xiaoyu stepped forward with the goods. Uncle Wang, we have just learned the weaving technique of the Central Plains. It can definitely be sold for a good price. Zhang Xiaoman heard that they were from it. Immediately asked, You are in the Central Plains. Have you ever heard of a person named Ren Xiaosu? Lao Wang's face changed after hearing this. He didn't dare to answer immediately. I'm afraid that Ren Xiaosu will cause some trouble again. It's wanted. But Lao Wang thought about it carefully. I found it wrong. Xiaosu and Mr. Zhang have a good relationship. How could he be wanted? Zhang Xiaoman knew that he had slipped his mouth. Find an excuse and want to slip away. After all, you can't make a noise about Ren Xiaosu. If you are suspected by others, you will be in trouble. Suddenly, Lao Wang shouted, I know Ren Xiaosu. Zhang Xiaoman listened. Immediately rushed over. Under Lao Wang's explanation, he didn't have the slightest suspicion of news. When I first fought the clan, Ren Xiaosu and I are still comrades in arms. Lao Wang cried with joy, and Xiaosu was really alive. Where did he go after he left you? Let's go to him. Zhang Xiaoman's face was helpless. After the battle he was gone. I guess he's gone to the Central Plains to find you. Hear this. Lao Wang immediately waved his hand and said, Let's go back to the Central Plains. Find someone to go to Xiaosu. Zhang Xiaoman hurriedly grabbed him. Don't get excited. Even we couldn't find it. How do you find it? You can take everyone here to do business with peace of mind. We are still very sure of finding Ren Xiaosu. Lao Su told us. Wherever Ren Xiaosu goes, he will go wherever the barrier goes. Have you heard about the 74 barrier? We've sent someone to look for it. Maybe you can find it. Lao Wang was stunned. I thought there was some unfathomable method, co-authored to find someone. Xiaosu relied on Xin Shui. At this time, Ren Xiaosu and the others were walking to Barrier 73. Due to the unexpected circumstances this time, Li Ran also decided to interrupt the tour ahead of schedule. Escort Li Ran behind Barrier 73. Yuan Xiaosu and others also ended this mission. Li Yin sat in the car and sighed for a moment. I would love to be his maid too. Follow him to the end of the world. After that, Yuan Xiaosu and others also prepared to return to Los Angeles. And Lao Li on the seat of the car had a sad face. Now the Qing clan has nuclear weapons. Maybe one day there will be another cataclysm. However, Yuan Xiaosu does not think so. As far as I know about Qingji and Roland, they won't misuse this weapon. The two of them are not good people though. But it's definitely not a bad guy. Unite organization. There is no need to look at them with tinted glasses. Lao Li was surprised. This Ren Xiaosu seems. I am very familiar with the Qing's two heroes. Wait, Ren Xiaosu and Ren Xiaobei are only one word apart. And he's pretty good looking. Could he be the man we are looking for? Ren Xiaosu swallowed a mouthful of saliva silently. Why is this man staring at me all the time? The people who engage in it are hairy. Boys spend millions. It is forbidden to publish a sentence in a newspaper. Don't let the times be sad. Be your sorrow. And the purpose of his soul. Just to find someone. It turned out not so long ago. The media is hyped up. Kyunks dropped a nuclear bomb on the 74 barrier. Although the purpose is to destroy the test subject. But such a terrifying weapon reality. It made many people feel threatened and scared. So at the press conference, the royal family condemned it harshly. What Kyungsher did when he dropped nuclear weapons. He also said that the future of mankind needs to be guarded by human beings. The Qing clan shouldn't have turned themselves into a human danger. Meanwhile, the atmosphere in Zhou's conference room was serious. The chief spoke. Although Qing helped us solve the experimental problem, but the 74 barrier was completely destroyed by the nuclear bomb as a result. The establishment of diplomatic relations with the Qing clan needs to be put aside first, and other major barriers to the attitude of the clear. Make a decision again. Now Qing's is on the cusp. Roland also had to come forward to quibble. The royal family said we lost it. Is it really what we lost? The royal family is framing us. Then Luo Fatsi pair blossom with rain. Subjects are really disgusting. At the beginning, Li was attacked by the test subject. The barrier is completely trapped. The people of the Li family were homeless. So it doesn't matter who blew up Barrier 74. I, Roland, have to thank you. You have avenged the people of the Southwest. Avenged the 74 barriers. It also saves mankind from future troubles. Say it. Fat Luo also bowed deeply. After Ren Xiaosu saw the report of this incident. I can't help but complain. This Roland pretended to be a philanthropist. After a drive, Ren Xiaosu et al. Finally returned to Los Angeles. After Lao Li showed the evidence of the miracle, the doorman let him through. And there are many names left in and out of the city gates. Ren Xiaosu couldn't help but be curious. Can you enter and exit these names at will? Lao Li explained. Many of them have work visas within barriers. You can enter and exit within this visa date. And the student visa can stay in it for a long time. 1. Successfully graduated at the end of the course. You can also directly obtain a resident ID card to settle down. Yuan Xiaosu looked at the students out the window with interest. Originally, Tsinghua University has left some indicators for leaving a name. It is to encourage Lu Ming to use knowledge to change his fate. As long as you are admitted to university, you can become a barrier person. This can be regarded as preparing an upward channel for Lu Ming. At least it can give everyone a hope. After that, Ren Xiaosu said goodbye to Lao Li. And he came to Hope Media. I am going to find Lu Yuan and others by publishing a missing person notice. When Ren Xiaosu entered the office building, an old man's reprimand caught his attention. Journalists should respect the facts. The practice of trying to attract the reader's attention on your own. Absolutely not. Things we're going to do. It's to get them decades later. Pick up a copy of the current Hope Media newspaper. I immediately knew the truth of today. The employee wanted to quibble. This is what other newspapers write. But the old man reprimanded harshly. What is your motivation for doing this? If it's fame and fortune, I suggest you go to Tsinghua Group. What we want the media to do is to respect the facts. Record history. The old man's remarks made Ren Xiaosu feel admired. There are not many people who are so decent these days. Then Ren Xiaosu came to the business department of Hope Media. He handed over a note. Ask for him to be published in the newspaper. And it should take up 1/4 of the space. I thought it was some kind of amazing information. As a result, the director took the note. When I saw it, there was only one sentence written on it. Don't let the times be sad. Be your sorrow. There is also a 61 written underneath the painting. The director asked curiously, what is the purpose of this advertisement? Ren Xiaosu is serious. Just think of it as a positive energy transmission. So what does this 61 mean? Ren Xiaosu said that 61 is Children's Day. I would like to wish everyone a happy Children's Day in advance. This statement confused the supervisor. Ren Xiaosu then asked about our advertisement. It will be put on until June 1st next year. How much does it cost? The supervisor listened. Suddenly, the stars were put into the field until June 1st next year. That's probably $1 million. Then, the director got up and walked to the front. The business was a little bigger. I can't be the master. Please wait. With that, he ran out. However, Zhou Yingxue was very puzzled. Spend millions just to put this sentence. Is it necessary? Ren Xiaosu did not explain. It's just that the money that should be spent can't be saved. The director of the Cloth Club found their editor-in-chief in Jiangsu. It's also the decent old man just now. He looked at the contents of the note. I can't help but ask who said this. Why do you say that? Ren Xiaosu explained that he said this sentence by himself. Because I want to warn my brother. Don't go with the flow in this day and age. I place this advertisement now. Just think. This sentence should be told to more people. But what Ren Xiaosu didn't expect was, Jiangsu didn't even think about it. Let's just say that you made up this reason. Ren Xiaosu's face was full of embarrassment. Zhou Yingxue complained about the old man in her heart. I don't make up a reliable reason. However, Jiangsu's next operation made the two dumbfounded. You pay 20% of the cost for this ad. 400,000 is the advertising cost of the word 61. I'll give you the rest. Ren Xiaosu was instantly stunned. What are you trying to do? 1.6 million were exempted at once. However, Jiangsu said that this sentence was worth so much money. Nice to meet you. Or rather, to be precise. It's nice to see such a quote. This moment, Ren Xiaosu was completely impressed by the old man's pattern. In times like these, there are still people who regard a sentence as so valuable. After going out, Zhou Yingxue didn't forget to pat her on the back. This Jiang Su is a legendary character. He's just because of your words. 1.6 million were directly exempted. Sir, you're too powerful, aren't you? Ren Xiaosu looked helpless. Okay, let's stop patting the sycophants. Then the two of them prepared to go shopping. It was completed quickly, and they were not far away. Attracted by a magician. Wait for Ren Xiaosu to take a closer look. Only then did I find out that this person was not Li Shuntan. The first thing a man does when he sees an old friend who has died. It turned out to be a magic trick for him. I saw that the playing cards were thrown into the air by him. The next second the playing cards were blowing a whirlwind. Accompanied by the end of the 3-second countdown. The figure of the man disappeared in place. Then he appeared behind Ren Xiaosu. But that's not all. He continued to invite Ren Xiaosu to watch the next magic trick. I saw Li Shuntan cover the ground with a black cloth. When he lifted the black cloth, piles of gold bars appeared underneath. Ren Xiaosu didn't know why. Li Shuntan explained that it was snatched from the middle room. But I didn't rob it. It was Wang Chongyang who robbed it. I know you love this, so I've got it for you. Even our daily expenses. It's all magic. Ren Xiaosu listened. I don't know whether to be thankful or speechless. Keep this gold bar for yourself. But why do you come to the ebb tide? Li Shuntan explained. It's a more suitable place for people like me to survive. But Ren Xiaosu felt that things were not so simple. What are you going to do after that? Is it performing magic tricks in Los Angeles? Li Shuntan did not return head-on. It's just a sale. I'm actually waiting for a miracle. So saying, he turned and departed. I'll keep this gold here. Take it with you if you want. I can't help it if I don't. By the way, I suggest you take a trip to Tsinghua University. Maybe there will be a reward. Li Shuntan thought to himself. If Ren Xiaosu was so defenseless, took the maid to Tsinghua University. Then I happened to bump into Miss Yang. That's interesting. Ren Xiaosu only felt inexplicable after hearing this. Zhou Yingxue said curiously, Master. Who is this man? The altar demon fool. Hearing this, Zhou Yingxue was taken aback. Then he slapped the sycophant demon fool again. Such people give you gold bars. Sir, you're too powerful, aren't you? Between words. He didn't forget to stuff gold bars into his pants. The next day, Ren Xiaosu really came to Tsinghua University. At this time, the school was holding a debate speech. Suddenly, Zhou Yingxue pointed to a familiar voice on the stage. The kid on stage looks a little familiar. Isn't this the Suji we saved before? At that time, he was also sending money to my account. However, the surrounding classmates heard their remarks. The eyes glared at him with bad intentions. Yuan Xiaosu immediately lowered the brim of his hat and prepared to withdraw. This week, Yingxue's mouth was too broken. I'm going to have to say something again after a while. But the figure of them leaving happened to be seen by Suji, and he immediately recognized Zhou Yingxue. Suji ignored the fact that the debate was still going on, jumping off the stage alone. Did you just see a man and a woman here? The student next to him replied. They listened for a while and then left. But what are you looking for them? Suji said with a serious face. They saved me. Meanwhile, Yang Xiaojin was looking out of the classroom window in a daze. But the classmate suddenly asked Miss, there's a debate tournament going on in the square. Let's go listen to it after class. Miss Yang, but I feel inexplicable. She doesn't usually talk to me much. Why do you suddenly want to go to a debate match with me? That's when it happened. The bell rings at the end of class. The girl suddenly shook. It's strange how I invited her. Yang Xiaojin saw this. I can't figure out what happened today. However, Li Shuntan, who was hiding outside the window, was annoyed. Why did he beat Kling at this time? The hypnosis was interrupted. Two people who obviously want to meet so much. It's close but you can't see it. It's also interesting to think about. Xiao Liren was also excited. I've seen this kind of scene in romance novels. Li Shuntan smiled and said, no matter what the process is, they'll meet eventually. Right, but at this moment, a student shouted. The boy who saved Suji and his maid. Come to our school. As soon as the news came out, it immediately aroused the curiosity of all students. They all wanted to take a look. Even young Xiaojing walked out when he heard about it. But what Li Xintan didn't expect was, they were mistaken for Ren Xiaosu and his maid. As a result, I was surrounded by all the girls in an instant. Young Xiaojing looked at it from afar. Some disappointment how they were. I thought it was Ren Xiaosu. After Li Xintan was discovered by Yang Xiaojing, momentarily froze, hurriedly covered his face and wanted to slip away. However, Yang Xiaojing stopped in front of them, asked, "Are you so afraid of me?" Li Xintan saw this, panicked, threw out a stack of shells. "I'm afraid of you." "Are you kidding? I'm afraid of your family." With that, he disappeared in place. At this time, some classmates reacted. Did he just say that he was afraid of Yang Xiaojing's boyfriend? Could it be that Yang Xiaojing's boyfriend is very powerful? Even Yang Xiaojing couldn't help but think. Could it be that Li Xintan knows Ren Xiaosu's whereabouts? That's when it happened. Yang Xiaojing's aunt Yang Anjing suddenly appeared. "Find her. I've got something to look for you. Take a trip with my aunt. Southwest. We have confirmed that Kyung is indeed possessing nuclear weapons. We didn't find her nuclear test site before. Now we have to go and solve this hidden danger. And you have to come with me." Others in the mob, none of them know as much about the Southwest as you do, looked at Yang Xiaojing indifferently. My aunt couldn't help but say, "Have you forgotten our beliefs?" "I didn't forget. It's just that I have more important things to do." Then Yang Xiaojing asked if anyone wanted to promote the news. My aunt said no. But Yang Xiaojing still didn't give up. "I'm going to find him. Wait until I find him. I'll go to the Southwest and join you." The aunt questioned. "You saw with your own eyes that he was so badly injured. Caught in the flood. It's you. Will you survive?" But Yang Xiaojing replied that it would be me instead. "Can't survive." But he could. My aunt was a little angry when she heard this. Even if he survives, but no contact for so long, he may have forgotten about you. It's hard to say that he's already met other girls he likes. However, Yang Xiaojing has absolute trust in Ren Xiaosu. He was different from everyone else in this world. He won't. Before, I also thought I could go to school here in peace, until they forget him. But at some point today, I felt as if he was right next to me. Until this moment, I just understood. I can't forget him. His aunt knew she couldn't convince him. So I asked how you could find him. With my whole life. Yang Xiaojing's answer was sincere and firm. It's night. Lao Li and Qin Sheng took advantage of Ren Xiaosu to go out. Sneaked into his room. Prepare to collect some of Ren Xiaosu's hair for identification. Let's see if he is Ren Xiaobei. However, they searched all corners for a long time. But not even a single hair was found. Lao Li looked a little crazy. Did he cut all his hair up? Or is his hair better? So they planned to be second. Come back the day. The next day, there was still nothing. This kid can't be bald. Is it wearing a wig now? Qin Sheng felt that he might be more cautious. A lot of killers will collect their hair specifically. Leave no trace. After Lao Li finished searching. Some are unwilling. Let's go find the kid. Temptation again. This has to be figured out. That's when it happened. Ren Xiaosu just came back. The two were knocked into each other. How did you end up here? The two hurriedly explained. They didn't do anything. The result is the next second. Lao Li directly went to pull Ren Xiaosu's hair. I want to confirm if it's a wig. You've got good hair. How to maintain it? Ren Xiaosu was speechless. What to maintain? Is this what the two of you are here for? Lao Li originally wanted to quibble, but Qin Sheng directly stated their purpose. We're looking for someone. The guy you're looking for. The knights have been looking for a long time. His name is Ren Xiaobei. It's only one word away from your name. Ren Xiaosu listened. The whole person is calm. Afterwards, Lao Li specially prepared an off-road vehicle for Ren Xiaosu. It is convenient for them to leave the inauguration. And Ren Xiaosu doesn't want to owe favors to anyone. Do you need me to help you find someone? Does he have any characteristics? It's easy to recognize when you see me. I saw Laoli looking embarrassed. We only know that he is quite good-looking. After Ren Xiaosu left, Zhou Shue couldn't help but say, Master, the Ren Xiaobei they are looking for. Could it be you? Ren Xiaosu laughed. They said that Ren Xiaobei was handsome. I'm a tough guy. How could it be related to Qingxiu? At this time, Ren Xiaosu was thinking in his heart. The knights are looking for someone. Will it be 6 Yuan? When I met 6 Yuan back then, he immediately identified me as my brother. Will there be any correlation between them? Meanwhile, on the frozen steppe, a man and a woman are riding a wolf. The two of them are 6 Yuan and the little royal sister. And now 6 Yuan has become the king of the grassland. The boy is known as the mystery of the legend of the steppe, just because he has the ability to speak his way, facing foreign invaders. He just said, I guess, you will soon be pecked blind by the eagles of heaven. The result is the next second. An eagle swoops down, actually pecked the man's eyeballs. The inhabitants of the steppe believed that the boy was a god general. They all bowed down and called him the king of the prairies. Originally, 6 Yuan was taken to the grassland by wolves after falling unconscious. And during this time of life in the steppe, 6 Yuan also faded away from the ambition, grow into a handsome young man. Meanwhile, in front of their eyes, a small tribe of nomads appeared. 6 Yuan plans to unify the grassland, and this is where it begins. Let's go over there. Get some staple food. I'm also a little tired of eating meat every day. So 6 Yuan took the little royal sister and the wolves and galloped away. And the inhabitants of the tribe heard the howl of the wolves. He quickly organized people to take up arms. Get ready to go out together to catch the wolves. However, what they didn't expect was this. There are just too many wolves. And they have long been surrounded. Hassan, the leader of the tribe, trembled and collapsed. Let the woman and the child ride away first. The man and I stayed and fought. Suddenly they found out. In the distance, the Wolf King was riding 2 humans. They were shocked. Is this pack being manipulated? Could it be that this boy in front of him? Is it the god in the legend of the steppe? 6 Yuan rode the Wolf King and slowly approached. It's too cold in the north. Surrender to me, and next year I'll take you to the south for the winter. The chief, Hassan, did not refuse. I'm willing to give the whole tribe to you, as long as you treat everyone well. However, 6 Yuan means not to get me wrong. I have no intention of taking over your tribe. Your tribe is too small. I want the whole grass. Hassan informed after the original. The 6 Yuan tribe actually belongs to the big tribe of the Han in the north. Every year, they come to collect some cattle, sheep and horses. If you can't turn it in, they will go to the south to grab 6 Yuan. Reassure him. Leave these things to yourself. However, one of the inhabitants did not understand what the chief was doing. Hassan, how are you afraid of a child? Why don't we kill him tonight? The wolves weren't there anyway. Hassan shouted angrily. He had the courage to disperse the wolves. Leave a woman around. Naturally, there is a great deal of self-confidence. It shows that people don't take us seriously at all. At this time, the movement outside the tent was heard clearly. He thought to himself that this leader was a wise man. Suddenly, the sound of horses' hooves was heard outside the tent. Then a man's voice rang out, and it was cold this year. Many cattle and sheep froze to death. Dahan ordered you to do it within 10 days. Arrive at the Jungar River, next to the Big Swell. Take part in this raid to the south. However, after the man finished speaking, all were indifferent. He was furious. No one answered. Are you going to resist disrespect? I'll go back and bring the news to Dahan. Flatten your tribe. Your cattle, sheep, and horses. It was just distributed to the tribes that had suffered losses. At this point, Hassan introduced the boy next to him. This is the heart of our tribe. We all have to listen to him. Just listen to the 6 Yuan domineering Dao, and go back to tell you the big man. Our tribe will go to the Central Plains. But not now. It's after I become a big man. Then he said coldly, you can go back alive. But I guess, You will soon be pecked blind by the eagles of heaven, because it's not much different from being blind when you're open. As a result, 6 Yuan just finished speaking. An eagle swooped down from the sky. The man was unsuspectingly pecked blind by an eagle. Residents see this. They all bowed down to the 6 Yuan. The gods have really come. Lu Yuan looked at the man with a cold look in his eyes. I'll go back and tell you about the big man. He only had one chance to choose whether to live or die. Meanwhile, Ren Xiaosu and Zhou Yingxue returned to the number 61 barrier again. I haven't been home for too long. Ren Xiaosu was worried that there were already corpses all over the place. But when he pushed the door in, there was not a single body inside. It seems that Lu Ming has also learned to be smart. The deterrent power of this potato shooter is really not ordinary. Ren Xiaosu noticed. There is a bouquet of withered wildflowers in the courtyard. The fawn used to tell him, if the woman with the cap is gone. So he put a bunch of wildflowers in the courtyard. Now the flowers are dry. Looks like the woman in the cap should be away for a while. At this time, Zhou Yingxue began to clean up. Sir, you're so dirty here. I sleep here at night and get itchy all over my body. Even Xiaosu was not angry. It's not good for the two of us to live together. And the houses in the market town are not expensive. 30,000 yuan. I can buy a house that looks exactly like mine. However, Ren Xiaosu far underestimated Zhou Yingxue's slamming. Sir, I can lay the floor in your house. It can also wash your clothes and beat your legs. Ren Xiaosu immediately had a gloomy face. Didn't I give you a penny? After all, he can be regarded as a person worth tens of millions. Why save this money? Under the constant urging of the decimal of people, Zhou Yingxue reluctantly left. Not for a while. Next door remembered Zhou Yingxue's scolding or something. 60,000 yuan. Why don't you go and grab it? But the landlord said that you also made a bargain. Maybe I'll agree. So Zhou Yingxue opened her mouth and came to a price of 3,000. The landlord directly angrily exploded, are you disgusting me? Minimum 30,000. Ren Xiaosu cleaned up, while listening to the bargaining next door. This is not only pickier than me. The bargaining is even more ruthless than me. Afterwards, Ren Xiaosu took Zhou Yingxue to the tavern for dinner. When serving, all the meat in the mutton steamed bun went into Ren Xiaosu's. Ren Xiaosu in the bowl was a little embarrassed. I thought to myself that this must be a good thing that the fawn did. Zhou Yingxue looked at her like this. I guess the reason for the incident at once. Master, why is this peach blossom luck so prosperous? Just sent Ong Li away. Here comes another little girl. After eating, Ren Xiaosu found his grandfather. Ask where you can get the newspaper of Hope Media. After all, I was alone. There are no reliable sources of intelligence. However, before the old man could speak, the fawn said angrily, you are not alone. After that, he took the old man and left, leaving a confused Ren Xiaosu. After the fawn returned home, kept tearing the 1,000 paper cranes that were folded for Ren Xiaosu in his hands. The old man couldn't help but feel a little relieved when he noticed it. Well, a man doesn't have a good thing. After a while, the hissing stopped. The fawn began to fold 1,000 paper cranes again. The old man couldn't understand for a while. The fawn explained earnestly that I liked him. It has nothing to do with him. Meanwhile, Ren Xiaosu just returned home. I found that the courtyard was already in shambles. The intruder was nowhere to be found. Someone who was able to escape from the attack of the potato shooter. Certainly not an ordinary person. However, 2 days later, Ren Xiaosu saw the sound of the piano with a bruised face. Are you the one who rummaged into my backyard 2 days ago? Qin Shang pretended to smile calmly. Ha ha ha. What are you talking about? I've just been here. Ren Xiaosu said. Ordinary people are embarrassed at times. We'll use ha 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 to cover it up. As embarrassing as there are ha ha. How did you run to number 61? Killed the sound of the piano explained. The knights have a rule. After becoming a knight, you must spend a year in a market town. Feel the suffering of the world. At this time, Shulu delivered a newspaper from Hope Media. and he turned around and left. Ren Xiaosu looked dazed. What the hell is wrong with this fawn? Subsequently, Ren Xiaosu was attracted by a news in the newspaper, Roland. In the near future, I even want to go to the royal barrier. I have to say that this fat man is really bold. Knowing that the royal family is now targeting the Qing consortium. I even came here with a hard head. And he also made his itinerary public. Ren Xiaosu couldn't help but think. If he is in danger, should I be out of humanitarian concern? Give him a little help. As the newspaper flipped, Ren Xiaosu noticed another message. Various tribes in the northern steppes are rallying. Get ready to head south. The 176 barrier repeatedly caught the nomad outpost. Meanwhile, Lu Yuan is roasting a bonfire in the northern grasslands. I don't know what I'm thinking. Woman Flower 3000 bought a courtyard house. As a result, it was sold for 600,000 yuan. Not because the house is worth the money. It's because Ren Xiaosu lives next to the house. It turned out that the night organization suspected that Ren Xiaosu was Ren Xiaobei. So he deliberately let the sound of the piano come to 76 barriers to monitor Ren Xiaosu. But half a month has passed. But nothing was heard. Just when he was feeling lost, there was a knock on the door. The sound of the piano instantly woke up So late. Who is looking for Ren Xiaosu? At this time, there was a fortune teller standing outside Ren Xiaosu. Young man, I look at your bones and marvel. There will be great blessings in the future. Ren Xiaosu's face was gloomy. It's a big fool. Last time, I said that I would bring blood and light to others. This time, I directly said that I have great blessings. I just listened to the big flicker and continued to flicker. I count your life as a great blessing. It's just to the northwest. Let's go back to the northwest. Ren Xiaosu didn't listen to him and continued to fool. I know you're from Fortress 178. Zhang Xiaonuan told me. The big flicker was suddenly embarrassed. This Zhang Xiaonuan is really a big mouth. Just when Ren Xiaosu was about to close the door, the big flicker hurriedly stopped you from wandering in the Central Plains. No matter where you go, you are a dangerous person in everyone's eyes. But 178 Fortress is your home. I'm going to be scared of you. These words really made Ren Xiaosu a little shaken. So he invited the big fool into the room. You just have to go back to Fortress 178 now. You are the young marshal. Do you know what it means to be a young marshal? It means the territory of Northwest Nua. You're up to the mark. Ren Xiaosu said frankly. I'm not one. Someone who can turn a blind eye to such a great temptation. But are you really sure I'm the right fit? I'm just a poor boy from a name. The big flicker explained the commander. He's also famous. We never look at origins. It's that we recognize you. Hope you go back. But there are still many things I don't understand. Maybe one day I'll go. But I can't be silent. And to find my lost friends and family. With that, he invited the big fool out. Tonight's words suddenly dumbfounded the sound of the piano. This Ren Xiaosu even has a background in the 178 Fortress. To know, the 178 Fortress is famous even in the Central Plains. If he is really the heir of Qinghe, will you choose to inherit Qinghe or stay in Fortress 178? The sound of the piano suddenly felt like my head was going to explode. He planned to pass on the news to the teacher first. I'm afraid they're all going to have to reevaluate Ren Xiaosu. That's when it happened. There was a knock on the door of the harp. The moment the door is opened, the sound of the piano was stunned. I saw the flicker standing outside the door. A serious face. You're in big trouble, kid. I'm not good at feng shui here. If you stay for a long time, yin qi may enter the body. But don't worry. I have a solution. Sell me this house. I'm here to help you defuse the anger here. Qin Shang was furious when he heard this. Then he slammed the door shut. Feng shui is not good. Isn't the liar ghost just trying to live next to Ren Xiaosu? I won't let it go to you. At this time, Ren Xiaosu whistled gloatingly. Fortunately, there is a piano student. How could he possibly sell you the house? Big flicker, I can't see this house. Hurriedly looked for the next one. Turned out to be Zhou Xue, who had just taken a bath, who opened the door. The flicker was suddenly shocked by this fragrant scene. Zhou Shue said that it was okay with something expressionless. I'm closed. At this time, the big flicker immediately flickered the beauty. I'll close you this house to affect the peach blossoms. If you stay for a long time, it may affect your ability to find a boyfriend. Why don't you sell me this house? I'm here to help you defuse the anger here. A smile rose at the corner of Zhou Yingshue's mouth. The fixed price is 600,000 yuan. Ren Xiaosu next door heard this movement. People are stupid. A house of 600,000 was also bought. It's a bloody investment. Zhou Yingxue only felt her heart pounding. This earthquake house has so much room for appreciation. My vision is to be a real estate businessman in the future. Wouldn't he become the richest man in the Barrier Alliance in minutes? At that time, he can still show off in front of Ren Xiaosu. Sir, this is the barrier I bought for you. Meanwhile, outside Barrier 61, Luo Fatsi came to the royal family's territory again. Zhou Qi was puzzled. Knows that the royal family is the tiger's den in Longtan. I have to come here. Luo Fatsi said that this can be proven. I'm not weak at all. Zhou Qi's face was serious. Wait until they find evidence of the use of nuclear weapons by the Tsugiro. Your reputation in the Central Plains will stink. When the time comes, they'll find out you're cheating on everyone. See how you end. It's only a matter of time before someone finds out. But exchange my gains and losses for the time of the celebration. Earned, and this is compared to the future of Qingshi. It's nothing at all. However, it wasn't until he actually entered the barrier that he found out. Everywhere there were protests against the Qingshi Hawu, but Luo Fatsi didn't care at all. Instead, let the hotel restaurant prepare him the sumptuous dinner. In the evening, Luo Fatsi launched a cart of delicious food. The protesters thought they were bribing them. As a result, Luo Fatsi said, "Don't make too much of yourself. Love, this is for me to eat." Then he devoured it in front of everyone. This made the protesters cry on the sidelines. Wait for the fat man to eat and drink to his heart's content. He generously pushed out the leftovers. Look at you who are hungry. Why don't you eat it? The humiliation left the protesters furious. Luo Fatsi looked stunned. Meanwhile, the order division was in disarray. What does Roland want to do? I know that many people don't welcome him. He's coming. We're going to have to work overtime again. That's when it happened. A man came to the Temple of Order to report the crime. Said that several workers in their garment factory were missing. It's like disappearing out of thin air. Then, some people are so surprised that they could have disappeared inexplicably. Artificial intelligence didn't remind me either. There is speculation that it could be a spy. Suddenly, there was a sound of footsteps, and I will go with you. Trouble boss with the way. Let's go back quickly. This not-so-serious wall creeper can actually eat people. As soon as I heard this report, Ren Xiaosu thought to herself, this time, the incident with the 611 barrier finally has nothing to do with him. However, Zhou Yingxue cried and said that the number 61 barrier was about to end. The house I just bought can't be sold. Ren Xiaosu has no choice but to do so now. Is it the time to think about this? Hurry up and pack your things and get ready to run. Suddenly, Ren Xiaosu thought. Luo Fatsi is still in the barrier. Originally, it was just an ordinary case of disappearance. But there have been too many disappearances lately. So much so that Wang Zhongrui of the Order Division decided to investigate in person. Just arrived at the factory. Wang Zhongrui sensed that something was wrong. The corridors here are overgrown with creepers. Be reasonable. Creepers grow where the sun shines. The employee who reported the incident felt a little abnormal. But he didn't take it seriously. As a result, I just arrived at the door of the dormitory. Wang Zhongrui noticed the handprint at the bottom of the doorframe. And so he began to think about it. Simulate the possibility of leaving such handprints. Sex and the only possibility. It is. Something suddenly grabbed the person who opened the door from behind. So much so that he left a handprint on the bottom of the doorframe. But Wang Zhongrui turned his head to look. But I saw only dense creepers. He couldn't think of a reason for it for a while. So I decided to go upstairs and ask the residents. As a result, when they pushed the door in, the house was also overgrown with creepers. Blood stains on the ground and broken windows are indicated. Something terrible has happened here. That's when it happened. The employee suddenly felt a creeper hole under his feet. Wang Zhongrui decisively pulled him away. And the only exit in front of them is the window. When Wang Zhongrui broke out of the window, the creeper had wrapped itself around him. Fortunately, he still used the gravity of the fall to escape. But the employees behind him were not so lucky. It's just for a moment. The employee was dragged in. Wang Zhongrui tried to shout for him to jump off, but all that was heard in the room was a scream. Meanwhile, the creepers at Barrier 61 are all starting to move. Many displaced people have been attacked. Wang Zhongrui gritted his teeth when he saw this. He hurriedly took out his papers. Shout out to stay away from those creepers. They will eat people. Soon the homeless people on this street were dispersed. At this time, Ren Xiaosu, who was at home, heard the conversation of the homeless people outside. But when he was going to get out of here first, suddenly it occurred to me that Fat Luo was still in it and hadn't left. And Luo Fatsi found, after the people who monitored his order division were all transferred, immediately ordered his subordinates to pack up their things and leave. However, Luo Fatsi found out. The soldiers on the side were actually cleaning up the tea set. He immediately scolded what he was doing with that thing. Grab our food. You don't need to bring water. Zhouqi will change. Zhouqi was speechless for a moment. Please ask if you are polite. When leaving, Luo Fatsi was worried that the elevator was not safe. So I chose to take the stairs. As a result, the lights in the hallway suddenly went out. Everyone panicked. Luo Fatsi immediately urged to run. Zhouqi didn't understand that the royal family really wanted to kill you. You can't get out. Luo Fatsi was not so angry that the royal family wanted to kill me. It's been done a long time ago. The danger I'm talking about may not be people. However, Luo Fatsi had just run out of the hotel. They were surrounded by a group of protesters, and their tires were punctured and flattened. Luo Fatsi was so angry that he was thunderous. Right now, they had no choice but to run in the opposite direction of the royal forces. As a result, they run away, mistaken for fear by protesters. Facing an interview with a journalist, Luo Fatsi didn't have time to talk to him. Suddenly, a huge bell rang out at Barrier 61. Only then did Zhouqi realize that something had really happened to the barrier. By this time, the streets were already crowded with displaced people fleeing for their lives. Wang Zhongrui shouted with a loudspeaker. The gates of the ramparts have been sealed. Everyone fled to the center of the rampart. There is the only end of the wall. After Zhouqi's inquiry, only then did I know that the creeper in the barrier had mutated. Will eat people. At this time, the gate of the rampart has been sealed by the creeper. Quite a few of them became rations for the creepers. Luo Fatsi knew that they couldn't run out. If you want to save your life, you can only hide first. Suddenly, it occurred to him that creepers were light-loving plants. Wouldn't it be enough to hide in the sewers? What he didn't expect was the result. The sewers have long been overgrown with creepers. The stout rhizome that rises to the sky. They were dumbfounded. Luo Fatsi could only be forced to flee for his life in the center of the barrier. However, at this time, the creeper is growing at an alarming rate. In a few moments, it spread to an entire high-rise building. And on the streets, it has long been covered by green creepers. After all, Luo Fatsi weighs more than 200 pounds here. After a while, I couldn't run. So he asked Zhouqi, who was an extraordinary being, to carry him. But Zhouqi said that this is to add money. At this time, talking about money hurts feelings. Zhouqi didn't care. It's okay, we don't have a relationship in the first place. On the way to escape, Luo Fatsi began to think about what was the safest place. Suddenly, a flash of inspiration crossed his mind. It's definitely the safest place to protect your money. However, he is not alone in this idea. The people at the gate of Wang's bank have long been piled up into a mountain. Suddenly, behind them, a large number of creepers sprang out from the manhole covers. I can't run away. Zhou Qi immediately exerted his extraordinary ability. Just for a moment. The moisture in the creeper's body was under Zhou Qi's control. It is completely blotted dry. Luo Fatsi saw this. Immediately happy, as long as the water in the vine is absorbed, all the water in the vine is drained. They are the heroes who saved the barrier, who will dare to target him when the time comes. As a result, Zhou Qi threw Luo Fatsi to the ground. You don't look at how many creepers there are. Even if the gods are coming, I can't suck the tower dry. Luo Fatsi suddenly mocked. You're not very good at that. Zhou Qi didn't have to pray. But am I weak? This is obviously the enemy is too awesome. Suddenly, Luo Fatsi found out. These creepers are no longer spreading. There is speculation. This is the creeper that has reached the limit of its growth. Wait for the Wang Consortium to call for rescue. They may be saved. But the fat man poured cold water on the side. There is no military base in the vicinity of Barrier 61. Moreover, the army has no way to deal with these vines. The only way. It was the white phosphorus bomb that burned this barrier directly. But if so, no one survives. Luo Fatsi sighed that he faced this dilemma last time. Or is it being chased by the test subject? It's just that I met a powerful teenager that time. Saved him. This time I guess I wasn't so lucky. At this time, someone shouted at Luo Fatsi. This position is not a conspiracy of your celebrations. Otherwise, how do you know in advance that something is going to happen to lightning protection? Luo Fatsi suddenly scolded that it wasn't the cause. For your pampering, the royal family is afraid. The personnel of the Order Division were transferred from the hotel and were not found. There was no judgment at all. The news of the creeper has been there for a long time. Am I going to sow seeds out of thin air? If only I had the ability. Your wife won't be infertile. This group of people was scolded by Luo Fatsi. Speechless, Zhou Qi suggested that he should go to the Wang troops, or go to the Wang army. If something happens to us, Qingji will definitely not spare them. However, Luo Fatsi didn't think so. Wang's weapons were able to protect him. Then, Luo Fatsi patted Zhou Qi's shoulder and praised old Zhou. It's up to you at the critical moment. I found out a long time ago. You are the one who can make it a critical moment. Good brother who stepped up. He also said that it was possible to add money. As a result, Zhou Qi didn't eat this set at all. Please recognize whether the situation is good or not. I can't protect it with extra money. Luo Fatsi sighed and said that it would be nice if Ren Xiaosu was here. Kill all the way and you're done. But Zhou Qi retorted. You look at the creepers outside. Even if Ren Xiaosu is here, he can't kill it. Boy and girl holding hands. Always wear a layer of gloves in advance. It's just because he's afraid of being misunderstood by his toy girlfriend. A headshot. At this time, barrier number 61 except for the central area. The rest is almost entirely occupied by lush creepers. Although Ren Xiaosu escaped as soon as possible, but he didn't plan to leave like that, because his good friend Luo Fatsi is still in the barrier. However, Zhou Yingxue didn't want him to risk his life. So he said that Luo Fatsi was estimated to have died a long time ago. But Ren Xiaosu is very confident. Roland Chicken Thief Fairy. The people in the fortress are dead, and he can't die. Zhou Yingxue said pitifully. We've been together for so long. I can't watch you die. As a result, Ren Xiaosu did not play cards according to the routine at all. Then I'm not going. You go in alone, and be careful. Zhou Yingxue didn't understand. Someone who deserves to risk his life to save. Because he is my friend. And I have fewer friends. So each one counts. Then, Ren Xiaosu touched the creeper leaf. As a result, the leaves immediately revealed a hideous face. Ren Xiaosu asked Zhou Yingxue if she could control the wall creeper. But Zhou Yingxue tried. It can only be that they do not attack themselves. All you have to do is hold my hand. Will not be attacked. As a result, Ren Xiaosu directly took out his gloves and put them on. Looks like a man and a woman are not kissed. Zhou Yingxue was suddenly unhappy. What do you mean? I'm here so as not to cause unnecessary misunderstandings. After all, I shook the hands of other girls. It's still a bit unclear, although he couldn't see it either. But I have to be honest. Said that Ren Xiaosu touched the creeper with his hand. As a result, he really didn't attack him again. Then the piano shouted and took me in. Aren't you knights not allowed to enter the barrier during their training? If you go in, I'll report it to you. The teacher was stunned by the sound of the piano. What's this called? After saying that, Ren Xiaosu went directly into the barrier. But he had just entered the barrier. The artificial intelligence of the royal family has turned around. Ren Xiaosu immediately lowered the brim of his hat. Prevent being photographed. He was a little confused. The barriers are gone. Artificial intelligence is still working. But why didn't he give early warning? Then, they planned to take a look at the hotel where Roland was staying. As a result, I came across several bones on the way. This creeper can eat people down to their bones. And this scene in front of me made Zhou Yinxue only feel a cold shiver all over his body. Couldn't help but clench Ren Xiaosu's hand tighter. When they came to the hotel, only to find that this place has long been covered by creepers. Chen Xiaosu guessed. Luo Fatsi should have driven away in advance. However, when he turned his head, he realized Qing's car was still parked downstairs. It's just that the tires are all blown out. This fat man is really unlucky. I bought one at Li's barrier before. Was blown up by Yang Xiaojing. When I got here, I was blown out of the car again. In order to confirm that Luo Fatsi has left the hotel, Ren Xiaosu still planned to go in and look for it, so as not to miss out. The results searched for half a day. Luo Fatsi's body was also not found. It means that he fled the hotel in advance. At this time, Zhou Yinxue said seriously, he was so fat. Definitely can't run fast. Maybe they will be caught up by the wall creeper a long time ago. Ren Xiaosu laughed and said that he couldn't run. Others would carry him for a while. Then they prepared to go to the bank vault to look for it. At this time, the vault was already overcrowded. A little girl cries her mother in her mother's arms. I want to go home. Wait a little longer, and someone will come to our rescue. As a result, there was a knock on the door of the vault. Is there a fat man named Roland in there? After hearing this group of people was instantly stunned. There are also people who come to find people. We don't have a Roland here. Hear the reply. Ren Xiaosu also kindly reminded him. Hide inside. The creeper outside hasn't been dealt with yet. The royal forces have not yet arrived. Just as the two continued their search, Zhou Yinxue spotted a creeper eating. The man looked desperate. The vines on his body had long been stained red with blood. Ren Xiaosu originally wanted to save people. Was hurriedly stopped by Zhou Yinxue. Don't come near her, sir. This creeper is very protective of food. Then he was furious. We're going to play both. Ren Xiaosu asked curiously. What is the principle that he does not attack you? I can pass the ability. Let him think that we are part of him. So it's not that he doesn't attack us. It's that he didn't find us. But you didn't have control over my soil before. Bean Shooter. Why can't you control him? Zhou Yinxue explained. I want to control him. My power must be infused into his roots. But I couldn't find his roots. Why don't we go find his roots, sir? As long as I control him. Isn't the crisis of this barrier lifted? Ren Xiaosu listened to his words. Suddenly stunned in place for 2.5 minutes. Then he roared to find a dog here. Who can find out where his roots are? Can you be sober? Saying that, Ren Xiaosu pulled him angrily. Prepare to continue looking for Luo Fatsi. However, Ren Xiaosu's domineering side. It actually made Zhou Yinxue feel a little moved. I don't know when I started calling him Grandpa, but it's quite safe to be held by him. Suddenly, Zhou Yinxue tripped over vines under her feet. I was about to fall. As a result, Ren Xiaosu held him steadily. Facing Ren Xiaosu's concern, Zhou Yinxue's face was slightly red. For a moment, it was as if I was in love. Chen Xiaosu always felt that something was wrong with him. Zhou Yinxue blushed and explained that he was just hungry. Meanwhile, a convoy of vehicles came outside Barrier 62. It turned out that the royal family and 178 walls began to trade. Wang Fugue is due to Zhang Xiaoman's care. He became one of the first merchants to run to the northwest, brought a large amount of potassium chloride and black goji berries. So much cargo. The soldiers who were routinely inspected were stunned. Seeing this, the chief listed them as honored guests, hurriedly invited them into the barrier to rest. Lao Wang couldn't help but sigh because of Ren Xiaosu's relationship. They went to the northwest and became VIPs. And because the northwest gives too many goods, became a guest of honor of the royal family again. This is also a cause and effect. Now if they can find Xiaosu again, it will be complete. At this time, a group of soldiers came out of Barrier 62. Lao Wang couldn't help but ask where they were going. The chief directly handed him a newspaper from Hope Media. Dude, you just... coming from the northwest. I don't know the situation in the Central Plains. Just look at this newspaper. Lao Wang opened it and took a look. Suddenly a cold sweat flowed. The current position is so scary. The chief sighed. AI does not define plants as dangerous targets, so there was no warning. Lao Wang, who suddenly flipped through the newspaper, was struck by lightning. Tears flowed unconsciously, because he saw the sentence, "Don't let the sadness of the times be your sorrow." He immediately closed the newspaper, finally found someone to stay with. Let's go to Barrier 61. The chief saw this, hurriedly dissuaded. Barrier 61 is dangerous right now. As a result, Lao Wang resolutely said, no matter how dangerous it is, I have to go. My family was there. At this time, the atmosphere of the Hope Media headquarters was gloomy. Jiang Su looked at the newspaper with a melancholy expression. Since last year, the bad news never stopped. It looks like the way of the world is about to change again. Suddenly, he saw the message that Ren Xiaosu had left before. He couldn't help but think, what exactly does this 61 mean? Could it be that this matter has something to do with his youth? Just as he was thinking, the phone rings. It turned out to be Barrier 61. The reporter sent back the latest news. Yesterday the creeper raided one half of the barrier, but for some reason it suddenly stopped. But just now he spread to the center of the barrier again. Right now, there was not much area in the center of the rampart for residents to take refuge. Jiang Su knew that the situation was urgent, but he comforted him. I received a message. The royal troops will arrive at the ramparts in the afternoon, but I don't know yet. Do they have a way to deal with wall creepers? However, the reporter may know that his life is short. So the last words were spoken. Let them tell you on your behalf. Jiang Su asked with tears in his eyes. Do you regret being a journalist? But there was a sudden commotion on the other end of the phone. The creeper began to move again. I'm now following Roland and them to a store. Suddenly, dozens of vines attacked him. Immediately after, there was a beep hanging up on the other end of the phone. At this moment, the entire headquarters of Hope Media fell silent. Meanwhile, Barrier 61 was on the run for everyone's lives. As a result, Luo Fatsi laughed at this moment. Do you remember when we were kids, we were on the streets? A group of Qing-room children. Follow me and Qing Zhan to find the gangsters to fight. Zhou Qi returned how he didn't remember. At that time, Qing Zhan was still young, but he was the most ruthless. Luo Fatsi smiled and said that every time he got into a fight, he went home. It's all me who takes the old man's way. Qing Zhan stood beside him with an innocent face. It's as if I broke him. Now think about it. In fact, that time is the happiest. At that time, you hadn't entered the K room. Qing Clinic is not yet a shadow of Qing room. You said we were going to die here. What should I do about the Qing Clinic? As they spoke, they had rushed into a supermarket. The vines behind him swarmed in. Seeing this, the soldier hurriedly pulled down the roller shutter. It turned out to be stuck. Do not retreat. Gotta pull the shutter down for me. With the combined efforts of all the soldiers, the roller shutter was finally shut. The creeper's vines were also temporarily blocked. At this time, Ren Xiaosu was passing by a house, and there is a cheering light sign hanging in the window of the house. Ren Xiaosu muttered, How is the name so familiar? Master, this is Li Ran's stage name. Have you forgotten? Suddenly, Ren Xiaosu remembered when he read the newspaper some time ago. Learned that Li Ran had returned to Barrier 61. Could it be that this is Li Ran's home? Said that Ren Xiaosu pulled Zhou Yingxue and planned to leave. The creeper had completely enveloped his house. There's a good chance he won't survive. However, Zhou Yingxue begged Master Dao. Let's go in and have a look. Ren Xiaosu suddenly didn't understand. The two of them were still for tap before. How can the relationship be so good now? Zhou Yingxue explained that Li Ran was actually very pitiful. He didn't have many friends. The people around him are all trying to make him rich. He told me. He was the illegitimate daughter of a high-ranking official in the royal family. The mother was a servant of the royal family. I was kicked out after I became pregnant. Fortunately, someone took care of it secretly. Their mother and daughter did not starve to death. Actually, you're not a cold-blooded person, sir. That's right. Ren Xiaosu's heart softened after hearing this. Let's go in and have a look. However, when they opened a gap, what catches your eye? It is precisely the face that is entangled in the wall creeper. In order to confirm Li Ran's life and death, Zhou Yingxue stepped forward and reached out to caress it, and the residual warmth between his fingers made him happy. Great, he's still alive. Ren Xiaosu immediately planned to wait for the meeting. I directly cut off all the vines on Li Ran's body. If the creeper attacks me in a rage, you must give up Li Ran as soon as possible. Escape from Dongla. After that, the black knife instantly appeared in Ren Xiaosu's hand. With the black sword light slashed, Li Ran finally untied himself. But just when Zhou Yingxue hugged Li Ran, all the vines are like crazy. Attacked towards Ren Xiaosu. Zhou Yingxue saw this. Immediately reached out to take Ren Xiaosu. Fortunately, at the moment of holding hands, all the vines stopped. Ren Xiaosu urged, "You carry Li Ran. Let's get out of here." But they fled on the way. The vines behind him caught up again. Fortunately, these vines are just indiscriminate attacks. Their location was not found. That's when it happened. Li Ran also opened his eyes. Ren Xiaosu took out the black medicine. You smeared some medicine on him. I'm inconvenient. As a result, Zhou Yingxue suddenly couldn't hold back her master. I hold you in my right hand. Hold him in his left hand. How to apply medicine? Ren Xiaosu shook off his hand. You did it on purpose. It is to see liveliness. With that, he put away the black medicine again. Forget it. Don't wipe it. I'm sure he'll make it through. Zhou Yingxue suddenly became angry. Are you still human? This man's life is at stake. If you don't wipe it, you can't. Wipe, just as the two were arguing. Li Ran silently raised his hand. I can wipe it myself. However, the black medicine is on the body. Li Ran was instantly surprised. What kind of medicine is this? It's so easy to use, isn't it? After wiping it, I feel more than half better. Li Ran was grateful to Ren Xiaosu for saving his life. Open your hands and want to throw yourself into your arms. As a result, Zhou Yingxue directly gave him a throat lock. It's two people who saved you. Why just ignore me? All of a sudden, the creepers of the entire rampart began to move. Zhou Yingxue said solemnly, it's like a new hunt has begun. Meanwhile, the supermarket shutter where Roland is hiding. The gate has been destroyed by vines. Zhou Qi had to use his extraordinary ability to block, but he could only hold out for another hour at most. At this time, the reporter kept recording something. Roland wondered what he was writing. I'm going to keep a detailed record of everything that happened after the disaster. This creeper should only be interested in living things. The royal army made the creeper clear. I hope that the media reporters will come to this book. This is the most authentic first-hand account. Luo Fatsi couldn't help but admire it a little after hearing this. I used to think that the people of the Central Plains were all vain. It's like royalty. Obviously he has ambitions. But he insisted on pouring dirty water on my in-laws. But you want the media reporters to be cute. There are people like you. The inheritance of mankind cannot be broken. I can't do that anyway. Then Luo Fatsi turned his head and said sorry. Let you follow me to the Central Plains cycle. Impatient to the point that Lao Tzu is here to make money. Wealth and danger are sought. What is there to be sorry for? Luo Fatsi silently spat out a puff of smoke. Actually, you don't have to work so hard to make money. Although you love money to death. But Kizumi and I both treat you as our best friends. I'm just worried that you don't treat us as friends. After hearing this, Zhou Qi went back directly and died. It's still full here. The mouth tells lies. Aren't you afraid of scaring Snake Hell? Both of them laughed at each other. That's just at this time. Zhou Qi was exhausted. The whole person collapsed in prostration, and the creeper has no way of stopping it. Began to spread rapidly. Critical moments. Ren Xiaosu also finally found the location of Luo Fatsi. Roland wiped his eyes in disbelief. Is Lao Tzu dazzled? Isn't that Ren Xiaosu? I saw a blue light flickering on Ren Xiaosu's body. It's just for a moment. The nano-armor is fully armed. Boy, possessed the nano-armor that all men dream of. It's just that the heart moves at will. Nano-armor can cover the whole body in the next second. Become an armored warrior. The first time I found Luo Fatsi, Ren Xiaosu activated the nano-armor. As a result, the creeper vines instantly swarmed in. Ren Xiaosu kept jumping, dodging the attacks of the vines. I saw that he was armored, black knife in hand. In the next second, a blue knife light slashed out. A vine in front of him was cut off. This handsome scene suddenly let Zhou Xue and Li Ran become little fangirls. Ren Xiaosu reluctantly reminded to hurry up and save them now. Then Zhou Xue asked everyone to shake hands and pull, because this way you can dodge the attacks of the creeper. Luo Fatsi couldn't help complaining. The last time Lao Tzu held hands with so many people, or when I was playing games in kindergarten. Zhou Xue was not angry. Don't talk nonsense, these vines follow me all the time. An attack on us could be launched at any time. What should Ren Xiaosu do? We have to save her. She can't be left here alone. Take care of yourself. This vine can't trap my master. Luo Fatsi heard him call him Master Ren Xiaosu. Burst into tears. I haven't seen you for a few days. Ren Xiaosu has another transcendent person as a maid. Why are the transcendents piling up around him? Meanwhile, Ren Xiaosu ended. You broke out. Don't look back now. Walk fast and fast. The vines grew and spread again. Ren Xiaosu had to face the wall again. Vines in front of you. But she just slashed with a knife. The vines on one wall were instantly cut off by Qi brush. Seeing that the vines did not move for a while, Ren Xiaosu immediately pulled Li Ran. Begin to run away. Li Ran's face suddenly blushed slightly. She actually grabbed my arm. Suddenly, she glanced at her. The whole person was shocked. Why wear gloves? Ren Xiaosu scolded him not to be in a daze. Hurry up and keep up. The way they fled for their lives at the moment was inexplicable. But at this moment, Zhou Xue's ability suddenly failed. All the vines swarmed at their feet. Zhou Qi originally wanted to launch his extraordinary ability to resist again, but he coughed up a mouthful of blood. Luo Fatsi muttered that he could survive until now. It can be regarded as luckier than hundreds of thousands of people in the entire barrier. However, Ren Xiaosu turned around at this moment. He voluntarily let go of the hand he was holding. The person he hates most right now is me. You keep going. In order to give everyone a chance to escape, Ren Xiaosu planned to drag and climb the wall with his own strength. But Zhou Xue already had a relationship with him. I'm with you, sir. I can't walk on my own. However, Ren Xiaosu looked resolute. Go away. I'll meet you outside the ramparts in a moment. Suddenly, Ren Xiaosu seemed to remember something. He fought on one side. While pulling out the newspaper from his pocket, Luo Fatsi was so anxious that his eyes were red. What kind of newspaper do you read at this time? It turned out that Ren Xiaosu remembered. There was a newspaper at the beginning. I posted a lot of photos of creepers. One of them shows the roots of the creeper, and his address was next to the Temple of Washing Feet. Ren Xiaosu was taken aback. Isn't this the building next to him? On the occasion of the gods, several vines swept in. Luo Fatsi was so anxious that he shouted, "Big brother. You're my big brother, okay? Can you stop reading the newspaper at this time? Are you showing off your strength?" However, Ren Xiaosu swung it away. The vines beside him were easily cut off. "Big girl, if I help you find her roots, you're almost certain to control her." Zhou Yingxue was shocked. Then he swore an oath. "If she's still a plant, then I'm 100% sure." Ren Xiaosu smiled after hearing this. "Then I'll give you a gift." Luo Fatsi was really convinced at this time. Such a critical juncture. Ren Xiaosu was still able to keep his sanity and find clues. Now, Ren Xiaosu once again covered the nano-armor and opened the way in front. Zhou Yingxue and others followed. There is only one chance for the big girl. Are you ready? You ready? By this time, they had reached the root system of the creeper, and Ren Xiaosu's armor couldn't hold it anymore. If it doesn't work out this time, then he can only summon the steam train to flee for his life. Just in such an environment, he wasn't sure. Will the steam train be entangled in a creeper? Immobile. At this time, Zhou Qi forcibly exerted his extraordinary ability. Protect everyone. Ren Xiaosu, you can go with confidence. I'm here to keep you guarded. Zhou Yingxue didn't dare to delay for a moment. Resolutely run towards the roots. And Zhou Qi consumed too much. Now I can only grit my teeth and support it. Luo Fatsi watched from the sidelines. I'm in a hurry, but I can't do anything. Zhou Qi gritted his teeth and held on. It wasn't long before the energy was running out. Qingzhen, I did what I promised you. Vowed to die to protect Roland's safety. At this point, a vine broke through the defenses of the water cover. Zhou Qi was about to be pierced. The result is the next second. A Qingshi soldier suddenly pushed Zhou Qi away. He was pierced by sharp vines. Take care of the owner. As soon as the words fell, the soldier fell forever before Roland's eyes. Luo Fatsi couldn't cry. But before he could say anything, another soldier was also trying to protect him, imperated alive by vines. Xiaolu. Luo Fatsi hugged the dying soldier and burst into tears. And the soldier laughed at himself. I, the squad leader. Even the soldiers under him have not come to their senses. Let him die in front of me. What a shame. With that, his hand fell limply to the ground. At this moment, Luo Fat Man let out a helpless wail. He could only watch. One soldier after another was killed. But there is nothing that can be done. Grief and anger at the same time. A force was gushing out of his body. Suddenly, he had a splitting headache. The next second, he fainted with a thud and fell to the ground. But at this time, he exuded the power of the awakened. Meanwhile, Ren Xiaosu opened the way ahead. There are still about 30 meters left. Looked at Ren Xiaosu's desperate appearance. Zhou Yingxue's heart rippled. Master, I'm really a little envious of Yang Xiaojin. At this time, Ren Xiaosu had just cut off a vine. What did you just say? Nothing. I say you're handsome. Ren Xiaosu smiled while chopping vines. It seems that you have a pair of eyes that are good at venting. Said that Ren Xiaosu took out the burst poker. I heard a loud bang. The last no rice was also broken through by him. Immediately afterwards, he held up Zhou Yingxue. A handful was thrown into the roots. You only get one chance. It's up to you next. In an instant, the whole wall creeper of the wall, all emitting green energy, they turned into thousands of threads, converged towards the location of the roots. In the root system, the figure of a young girl shimmered. Green energy kept pouring into his body. The face with his eyes closed is stunningly beautiful. Zhou Yingxue advanced to a demigod at this moment. At this time, the greenery of Barrier 61 is fading. The creeper dissipates like dead wood in the wind. Ren Xiaosu looked at the scene in front of him in shock. How strong is this energy? To be able to put the whole barrier. The creeper inhales it. As the last trace of green energy is inhaled into the body, Zhou Yingxue's figure fell from the sky. Yuan Xiaosu hurriedly caught her. After some investigation, breathing and pulse are normal. It should be that the absorbed energy is too thin. The body is a little unbearable. Yuan Xiaosu just planned to take Zhou Yingxue out of the barrier. I saw an even more surprising scene. Luo Fat Man was actually exuding golden energy all over his body. At this moment, Luo Fatsi finally woke up. In fact, I, Roland, am a fat man with a good fate. In order to let you smear my liver and brain. If I hadn't been born in Qingshi, and a powerful brother, probably a lot worse than you. I can't stand it. Lustful and greedy. Obviously cowardly. But he wants to do the most dangerous thing in the world. When it comes out, I swear I'll find you a beautiful wife. Let you take it back to the southwest. Then Luo Fatsi's voice became choked. Sorry. I didn't. There are still a lot of dangers I will face in the future. Can you continue to protect me? As Luo Fatsi's words fell, the dead soldiers appeared as heroic spirits. Luo Fatsi looked at the scene in front of him in surprise. The boss met again. We can continue to protect you in the future. Say it. The heroic spirits turned into wisps of golden energy. One after another, it merged into Luo Fatsi's body. Luo Fatsi finally has his own power. Those dead buddies. Now it has taken on another form and continues to protect itself. Seeing this, Ren Xiaosu thought that Roland's ability was good. So much lifetime warranty at once. If only there was a perfect skill map. Replicate it for him on the spot. At this time, Luo Fatsi said to the reporter, I will pay 10 million. Can you not write about today's events in the newspapers? The reporter pushed his glasses. Sorry. What happens today is a lot at stake. I had to record it. Ren Xiaosu couldn't help but feel. I hope that the reporters of the media are a little tough. There is money not to be earned. But Roland's concerns are warranted. The fact that he has awakened superpowers needs to be kept secret. Whole cards need to be left at critical moments. Moreover, he and Zhou Yingxue have also exposed too much. In particular, Zhou Yingxue absorbed the energy of the wall creeper. If only it were known to those who cared. If you don't get it right, something will go wrong. But Ren Xiaosu obviously underestimated Luo Fatsi's lobbying ability. What you are going to write is a tribulation. So my abilities have nothing to do with it. Can you not record? Don't talk about it to the outside world. And the two of them are our saviors. He saved you. You can't just turn around and sell him. Under the rhetoric of Luo Fatsi, the reporter also readily agreed. I am not a betrayer of my benefactor. Luo Fatsi listened. Only then did he breathe a sigh of relief. At this time, Luo Fatsi proposed. Get out of here before the royal troops arrive. But Ren Xiaosu said that he would sneak away. The royal family may think you are dying in the ramparts. If you show up later, the royal family will definitely suspect that this creeper has something to do with you. But Ren Xiaosu came up with a better idea at the moment. This is the area that creepers first covered. So there should be no one in the bank's coffers. We hid in it. Pretend to take refuge inside. Soon after, outside the vault, the voice of the Royal Rescue Force was heard. Luo Fatsi opened the door and cried, You're here. How's the creeper outside? Did you kill him? Watching Roland's tearful lifelike performance, everyone was speechless. Suddenly, Ren Xiaosu's pupils locked. The figures of Lao Wang and others actually appeared here. This was something he never expected. After returning home, Ren Xiaosu recounted the experience during this time. I've been to a lot of places during this time. Inauguration of Barrier Number 73 and Barrier Number 74. There is also Barrier 63 and Barrier 62 Lao Wang. It was heart-pounding. These places you are talking about are not only inaugurated. It seems dangerous. You're fine. Ren Xiaosu said that he was relieved. It's someone else who has an accident. The crowd was speechless. What a barrier destroyer. At this time, Ren Xiaosu asked about Lu Yuan and Little Royal Sister. Lao Wang didn't know how to talk about it. Seeing that Ren Xiaosu was in a hurry, Jiang Wu had no choice but to tell the story of the incident in 1510. Ren Xiaosu was instantly silent after hearing this. Then he said, I believe. They're definitely still alive. I just don't know where. We just got separated. We'll definitely see you again. The boy can obviously be a young marshal. Chose to live a leisurely life in the backwoods. In order to persuade Ren Xiaosu to return to the 178 fortress to be a young marshal. The big flickered and looked at the thatched house again, and this time he chose to start with Wang Fugue. As soon as I entered the door, I was close to him. Ren Xiaosu knowingly asked for a big fool. Is there something you have to do here? Our neighbors were fine. Can't come yet? At this time, Ren Xiaosu introduced to everyone. This is one of the intelligence chiefs of Fortress 178. Previously, he was in charge of the intelligence work of the clan area. After the clan was destroyed, he came to the Central Plains. Wang Fugue also heard Zhang Xiaoman say. Ren Xiaosu participated in the war between the 178 fortress and the clan. Personally avenged everyone. He couldn't help but ask Xiaosu. So dangerous. You didn't get hurt. I saw Ren Xiaosu shaking his head and saying, what is this? Not dangerous at all. At this time, the flicker coughed twice. Began to render up the original battle. It can be described as an earth-shattering crying ghost god. We are the vast number of soldiers of the 178 tournament. Are all convinced by Ren Xiaosu. The sound of the piano overhears this next door. Instantly refreshed. Finally someone got to the point. At this time, the big flicker asked, I heard. You've gone into the ramparts to save people. So how did this creeper die? Reveal it. Ren Xiaosu pretended to be a mold. How do I know if I'm angry? I just went in. Zhou Yinxue was caught in the brain by the tentacles of the wall creeper. Then I quickly took him into hiding. The big fool didn't believe his explanation at all. Take your temper. It's good to uproot every wall creeper. How is it possible to hide? Ren Xiaosu said that he believed it or not. Then he turned the topic to Wang Fugue. Uncle Wang, how did you spend this time? Lao Wang said. After they went ashore. After living with the name of the mountain for a while. Thinking about using the money left by Ren Xiaosu and doing some business. As a result, he met Zhang Xiaoman on the first day. He also said that he had found your company. Ren Xiaosu was suddenly curious. Ask what is the method. Zhang Xiaoman said that there was an accident at the barrier. I will send someone to find you wherever he goes. He said that this was Su Xianchu's trick. The big flicker answered. I was sent to Barrier 74. Su Xianchu guessed correctly. He was at Barrier 74 at the time. And you see Barrier 61 is also like this. Ren Xiaosu obviously didn't approve of it. What is this called? I'm talking like a scourge. At this time, do you suddenly ask Lao Wang? Do you know who this young man is in front of you? He's the young marshal of our 178 fortress. Later, Commander Zhang retired. He was the commander of the 178 fortress. Lao Wang suddenly realized. No wonder Zhang Jinglin has lived in the market town for so many years. It turns out that you are his illegitimate son. Ren Xiaosu's face turned black in an instant. It's all about whatever. At this time, the sound of the piano eavesdropping next door was finally confirmed. This Ren Xiaosu is a young talent in the 178 competition. It's still the kind of person everyone insists on him. He didn't want to be the kind he was. Then he dialed the teacher's phone. The news must be told to them right away. Teacher, this Ren Xiaosu. Identity is not as simple as we think. He is the heir to the 178 tournament. But he doesn't want to go back to the Northwest yet. If he's really the person we're looking for, they probably won't join the night organization with us. Lao Li listened in a trance for a moment. Are you sure he's really the heir to the 178 tournament? The sound of the piano came from the other end of the phone. Very firm answer. I'm sure. And there's no need for others to act for us. According to my contacts in the past few days, Ren Xiaosu's force value is likely to be far beyond our imagination. After entering Barrier 61, he retreated. I even suspect that the creeper withering has something to do with him. Lao Li paid attention to it after hearing this. Is this to say something to the other knights? At this time, in the room, the big flicker was pulling Lao Wang to look at palmistry. How old are you this year? Lao Wang smiled 46. What ado? The big flicker set up almost to say that I have 2 out of 50. How about I call you brother? I see that your palmistry is the face of a middle-aged child. You should be 32 years old when you have a son. That's right, Lao Wang suddenly exclaimed. How do you know? The big flicker is just a sign of pride. I'm a fortune teller. Of course I do. Intelligence work is just a side hustle for me. Fortune telling is my main job. Lao Wang immediately paid respect. It turns out that you are a master. Disrespectful and disrespectful. Then brother, look at my fate in the future. The big flicker hears this. Suddenly, his face became solemn. Your future life is not too good. This Central Plains is your place of great murder. To be prominent in front of people, you've got to go north. But the north isn't your best bet yet. You have to go to the northwest. Daxing Northwest. Lao Wang pondered. Isn't it Daxing Northwest? Xiaosu has become a young marshal in the northwest. We used to be ghostly. Seeing Lao Wang, he was convinced. The big flicker couldn't help but sigh. This can't be taken. Since you can't make sense of Ren Xiaosu, then it is said that the king is rich and noble. At this time, Ren Xiaosu couldn't stand it. Don't listen to him. He relied on intelligence to work. To know how old Wang Dalong is. He asks you for your age. I just want to subtract Wang Dalong's age from your age. Figure out when you're going to be. There is a big dragon who has been demolished. Immediately angry. Even if you're a young marshal, you can't just smash people's jobs. Ren Xiaosu spread his hands and said yes. Don't you just want me to go back to the northwest? But I'm still the same sentence. I'm thankful that you all look up to me. If you really think I'm a good fit, maybe one day I'll get ready and go back. But by no means now. Big flickering smiles. Just have your words. 3 days after that, Zhou Yingxue still couldn't wake up. The body temperature is hot and cold all the time. Ren Xiaosu was worried. Will she just burn out her brains? But fortunately, his face is quite ruddy. Then Ren Xiaosu looked at the newspaper boredly. As a result, the above news caught his attention. 61 Barrier is recruiting new residents. The people of the entire Barrier Alliance. You can all come and live here. Ren Xiaosu immediately became excited. As soon as the news came out, displaced people from all over the country are sure to rush over. Then the opportunity to make money is here again. So he immediately beckoned Lao Wang to take care of Zhou Yingxue. I'm going to go out on my own. Lao Wang saw that he was in a hurry. I thought something was wrong. Ren Xiaosu said that when I wait for good news, it will come true. Results 3 hours later. Ren Xiaosu came back with a stack of title deeds. When Zhou Yingxue bought a yard, an average of 30,000 pieces. Now it's only 5,000. Lao Wang didn't understand. This is a bulwark that has just experienced a disaster. I'm afraid that no one will live in it if I buy so many yards. Ren Xiaosu was indeed not worried at all. Countless people will be coming here soon. Don't underestimate Lu Ming's enthusiasm for barriers. Immediately afterwards, Ren Xiaosu handed Lao Wang a card. This account is used as capital for your business. After all, we still have such a large family to raise. There are also students in the rivers and lakes. It is also indispensable to spend money to continue your studies in the future. Lao Wang couldn't help but ask, how much money is in this? You gave it to me. Do you still have enough flowers? Uncle Wang earned 1 million in his first business. You don't have to live frugally. Ren Xiaosu thought for a moment and said, there must be more than 10 million. Lao Wang instantly began to doubt life. His hard-earned money. There is not even a fraction of Xiaosu. Uncle Wang, you can take these title deeds. I will be able to earn another vote in the future. I'll go find Wang Yuqi in them. Let's see if we can figure it out. Send them to Tsinghua University. After Ren Xiaosu inquired around. Back home, an event was announced for the inauguration of Tsinghua University. Open to all. The sound of the piano can solve everyone's visa problem. But I want to enter Tsinghua University. You have to take an exam. Spring enrollment begins right away. Do you think it's too late to get ready? As a result, Zhanghu students said, learning they never fall behind. It's just that they want to stay and help. Even if you don't go to college, they can also be self-taught. Ren Xiaosu said helplessly, since there is this condition, just go on to further your education. Systematic learning is always better than crossing the river by feeling the stones. Let's go and study with peace of mind. Don't think too much about it. Yin Luyuan has changed, became tyrannical and murderous. He doesn't just control eagles. Eyed the messenger of the great Han. He even ordered the wolves to devour the Han subordinates alive. The results were quick. He was assassinated by the warriors of the Han tribe. At this time, Yin Luyuan was sitting in the tent to keep warm. Hassan said uncomfortably to his master, "Dahan, they will definitely not give up." Luyuan laughed and said, "Hassan, you don't have to worry about this kind of thing. I'm afraid they'll not come." Then he went outside the tent. "Grab a handful of blood and wash your face." That's when it happened. A wolf howl suddenly sounded in the distance. Luyuan got up and said that it was finally here. "Let's go. Hassan will take you to see a good show. Wait until they arrive on horseback." Hassan was surprised to find Dahan's men were already surrounded by wolves. Leave it on everyone. Wounds large and small. At this time, Luyuan ordered the wolves to stop, so they took the initiative to retreat. No more attacks. At this time, the man at the head also guessed. The boy in front of him is probably the heart of the tribe. Yin Luyuan asked with interest what I had asked the messenger to bring back. "Did you guys get it?" As a result, the man's tone was tough, and the milky smell was not dried by the child. "Say big things. You can't want the whole step yet." 6 Yuan was a little helpless after hearing it. "Since this is the attitude of your big man, then I had to use a more radical approach." Said, "Summon him to the wolves. Tear it up. It's just for a moment." The man was devoured by the wolves. Such a cruel scene. Sister Xiaoyu couldn't help but persuade her to say, 6 Yuan. You can let the wolves kill them, but the wolves can't be allowed to eat them. If your brother is here, I won't let you do that. If my brother was here, it should be easier to unify the steppe, but he was never an ambitious man. I just want to protect the people around me. Sister Xiaoyu, you were right to stop me today. If my brother were still alive, I'm going to be disgusted with this tyrannical me." However, after hearing this, Sister Xiaoyu swore that she would not. "You are the most important person in Xiaosu. Even if you fall into the abyss, he'll pull you out too." 6 Yuan looked up at the snowy sky. His eyes were full of longing for his brother. "I miss you so much." Early the next morning, $6 woke up from the tent. I found that there was an extra girl in front of me. "I am Hassan's daughter. Abba, let me serve you." 6 Yuan lowered his head and asked, "What is your name?" "How old is my name?" "Kikich. The meaning of flowers. I will be 14 years old in 3 months. 6 Yuan smiled helplessly. "I remembered. Now go to your grandma. I have hands and feet, who is needed to serve." As a result, Kikich suddenly became excited. "I can comb your hair, do the laundry, and cook for you. Abba, let me take. And then they shall dwell in your tent. Tell me I'll be your man from now on. If you're going to get me out, I'd be ashamed." 6 Yuan can't help but think, what the hell is this custom? But in order to take care of the girl's face, he said, "You'll comb my hair in the future. I got hot water every morning. But go back to your grandma." Chi-Chi Pavilion looked puzzled. "Don't you have to come over at night?" 6 Yuan said with a smile. "No need to come. When combing your hair." 6 Yuan asked, "Aren't you afraid of me?" "Abba says you're the god who protects the tribe. Don't be afraid." Luyuan was slightly stunned after hearing this. "I'm not a god. Just an ordinary person like you." Chi-Chi Ji's face suddenly flushed slightly. "But you can command wolves and eagles. And the girls in the tribe say you're good-looking." Then he changed the subject. "If I only had to come over every morning, can I still go and collect with others during the day?" 6 Yuan asked curiously. "What to collect?" "It's to go out and collect some mushrooms that you can eat." Abba said that a lot of cattle and sheep died in the snowstorm. "We can't eat them anymore." 6 Yuan. "I originally thought that the cattle and sheep in the tribe could eat if they wanted. As a result, Brother Chi-Chi told him. Not only did the people of the tribe not eat meat regularly, even salt is rarely eaten. Because of the lack of salt supplementation, many women and elderly people get dizzy and nauseous from time to time. 6 Yuan was quite emotional after hearing it. They are all poor people in this age. How could I think you're doing well? It's my fault. Suddenly, Hassan lifted the curtain from outside. Master, don't listen to nonsense. The tribe is not so difficult either. 6 Yuan is indicated. The woman and the elderly showed symptoms of nausea. It's because you can't eat meat. It does not add salt. Leads to our need for salt. Hassan didn't know. It's just that salt is scarce. They had to pay an annual tribute of cattle and sheep to be able to do so. Get that precious salt. 6 Yuan can't help but think. It's like a consortium's way of controlling the displaced people. Everywhere is controlled by others. Don't you have the ability to find salt for yourselves? The grasslands are so vast. Not at all. Hassan explained that the salt ponds were all in the hands of the big tribes. And there are not many salt ponds on the grassland. However, 6 Yuan asked him to gather the herdsmen at this time. Ask them if they remember a time when they used to herd cattle, where the cow is licked, because Ren Xiaosu once told him. A way to find salt in the wilderness. All mammals must consume salt. So let the animals find it for you. There are saline lands in the steppe. Cows will find such a place. Replenish your own salt. Soon after. So they found one, where the herd likes to lick and feed. After 6 Yuan observation, it said that there should be salt here. Let's take it back and try to refine it. If it is refined, the problem of table salt is solved. At this time, Sister Xiaoyu couldn't help laughing behind them. You're a lot like your brother now. He'll be proud of you. One mentions that people want to sue. 6 Yuan unconsciously misses it in my heart. I miss my brother a little. That's when it happened. The sound of horses' hooves could be heard in the distance. Seeing this, Hassan immediately reminded the master. He is the knife. It can only be worn by the warriors of 100 battles in the great tribes. Be careful. Don't get too close to him. At this time, the man came to the front of the 6 original bodies. Introduce yourself. I am the messenger of the Great Han, Berg Tai. The Great Han ordered me to come and invite you to the great battle of the righteous warriors. You can be given a new position as the young filial king. Take charge of a grassland rescue. As soon as I heard it, I sensed that something was wrong. Now the big man is about to go south. It's time for immediate danger. If you don't kill yourself, how can you serve the public? Sometime else. That big man might be able to recruit, but now it is absolutely impossible. Bogotai didn't believe him. Then he took out an edict. If you don't believe it, you can look at the results. At the moment when he took the opportunity to get closer, sharp long knives out of sheaths. Seeing this, he stabbed at the 6. The eyes of the 6 members were cold, revealing a murderous aura. But the results that the Borgtai had expected did not materialize. Just listen to the click. The blade was pinned down by an iron hand. The Pogtai was instantly taken aback. Why does this man have 2 iron hands? What the hell is this? The woman slept without eating or drinking for a month. But she didn't die. On the contrary, the complexion is ruddy and shiny. Ren Xiaosu was happy to see this. It seems that she will not have to eat in the future. Just save a meal. Ren Xiaosu squatted beside the bed. Touched her hand. The book says that vegetative people are going to wake up. It's all finger moving. But at the moment she touched it,